Ask yourselves how the Maduro takedown came to pass. They went into a permissive environment where they were led to believe that certain things would happen and certain things wouldn't happen, and they were able to rapidly affect the detaining of Maduro and his wife. Suffer no casualties, no loss of equipment, etc. If they had done this against a heavily fortified position, against a president who was willing to give his life in defense of his authority as the leader of a sovereign state, they would have lost everybody. This means that somebody somewhere betrayed their country, some Venezuelan somewhere, a lot of Venezuelans somewhere. It appears that almost the totality of the Venezuelan political and economic elite are on the CIA payroll, that they have taken a significant amount of money or the promise of future money. Remember, Venezuela sits atop of the world's largest proven reserves of oil. This is oil that President Trump claims is American. Chevron's in there actively trying to exploit this oil for their economic benefit, and some of the largesse that's accrued from the sale of this oil can be used to enrich a significant number of Venezuelan economic and political and military elite. It appears that this is what has happened.
Sources just confirmed to CNN that the United States has seized an oil tanker that had been linked to Venezuela. Now, Russia is responding to the seizure, saying they are the owners of this vessel. The Trump administration has not acknowledged the Russian status, claiming the ship to be stateless, but nevertheless, you can see the sensitive nature of the situation. Russia had sent ships to track and maybe even protect this vessel over the last 24 hours. The United States has been tracking it across the Atlantic. It's the same ship that the Coast Guard had tried to seize last month near Venezuela. They were unable to board it, and the ship changed course and fled. But now, the breaking news, the United States has seized it.
I came out onto my front porch, and there was a woman who was a protester. She was blocking traffic with her car. She was parked perpendicularly. So the like convoy, there was probably 6 or 7 ICE vehicles. So she had blocked the traffic so they couldn't get through. And ICE was screaming at her to move, move, move. And then they got really aggressive and went over to her driver's side door and tried to open her door. And then she obviously got spooked and started to reverse. And then an officer approached her and leaned across, like got in front of her vehicle, and then leaned across the hood of her car and shot her point blank in the face. You could clearly see her slumped over in the car. This neighbor was yelling, "I'm a physician. Can I take vitals? Can I get a heartbeat? Like, can I please come administer CPR?" And they were saying, "No, get back. We don't care." And they said they had medics on their way, which took about 15 minutes of her just sitting there. I mean, I assume deceased that whole time. But no life-saving measures were even attempted.
But I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Hey, good evening. It's Ryan and the Whiners. It is January 8th, Actually, today is also in history the Battle of Rzhev, where the heroes of the Red Army stopped the Nazis so they couldn't go to Stalingrad. I wanted to say that because things are going crazy around the world. And we have Sarah from DD Geopolitics joining us. Thank you. It's going to make everything better.
I doubt that.
All right. Well, just in case it doesn't, I have some wine. Jeff, what are you drinking just in case we don't have a perfect night?
Well, I'm going back to one of my favorites. It's a Petite Syrah made by a California winery called Line 39. Cheers.
All right. And I'm drinking something I just picked up at the grocery store. I don't know anything about it. It's from Washington State. Actually, Washington State does come up, though, today. I know we're going to talk, first of all, about what's going on in Minnesota, but late breaking news. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents were just involved in another shooting that wounded 2 people in Portland, Oregon, right next to Washington State. So it's kind of all that over again. So I'm going to say that because we have this crazy thing that we just saw in our video in Minnesota. Jeff and gang, Morgan, by the way, yeah. I'm acknowledging you there too.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't happy with that opening. Ryan and the Whiners. What is that? Is that like Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band?
Oh, that's fine. That takes a lot of weight off my back.
All right.
No, you're going to do it. You're going to run the show next time, Morgan, I think.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I mean,
sure
there's a lot of people.
Water.
You're having water and you're water. Yes, Sarah.
I have some coffee floating around somewhere, I think.
Oh, wow. We want you to be able to get to sleep tonight, though, right? Are you able to sleep if you drink coffee at night?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's only 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So I made that opening video, and I got the clip of the woman talking about how the doctor was blocked from your X feed, Sarah. And I think that so far is the strongest indictment against ICE, actually, maybe more so than the shooting being improper or illegal, especially since, there's a video of it too. Let me take a look at that. Because that woman, she sounded believable, but if you haven't seen the video, then you don't know whether or not to believe her for sure. Here it is.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
Hey, listen, we understand. We got EMS coming, and I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor! You caught butter in the fucking face! You killed my fucking neighbor! How do you show up to work every day? How the fuck do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors, you're stealing my neighbors, what the fuck, man?
Whoa.
Of course, we still don't know for sure from seeing that, how long it took, but I'm leaning towards believing that eyewitness that we saw in the video. What do you think, Sarah?
This whole thing is horrific, terrifying, actually. I'm sure we're going to talk more about the aftermath, but the story that I'm getting right now is that she wasn't even involved in the protest, that she was dropping her child off at school. And that's her pulling out from dropping him off while kind of on an icy street. She had just moved there. As far as I know. Are they all actors? Who the heck knows? Myra, great picture.
You know what the thing I was thinking about though is because everybody's saying, oh well, from this angle it looks like this angle looks like, but nobody's talked about how it looks like there's ice there.
A lot of it.
It's slippery. So what if it's just one of those horrible circumstances?
I hold ICE accountable because they're not really trained. They've been giving the $50,000 bonus and just thrown out into the field, giving weapons that they're now going to be used on U.S. citizens. And then if this story checks out, where this woman had nothing to do with it, and we have this spin by Granted, on both sides of the spectrum, you have like just hyperbolic reactions, but on the right, where it's now domestic terrorists. So it's further extending people to be okay with more surveillance, more of this action, more confrontation with men in SWAT gear with U.S. citizens. I hold, your government to the higher standard, especially when they're going to take one of your, a citizen's life. Does the state really have the right to conduct murder? And what's
going on with the Morgan's audio?
It's going.
Is there something wrong with my audio?
It's cutting in and out.
You might have a.
I think it's you tonight. I think it's you.
Yeah, maybe my brain is cutting in and out.
Yeah, you got Morgan for audio, me for video. Like,
I know, and then I'm running the show, and he's got personal problems.
Personal problems.
There may be something eventually that I'll approve of. We'll see. Sarah, let me ask you how sure you are about that she was just, innocently dropping off. How many people did you hear say that? The reason I asked that is this woman who we just, decided to lean towards believing, who said, the doctor was being blocked. She said, no, she was protesting and blocking ICE agents. So who do we believe?
I don't know. There's a write-up in npr.org. So there was a write-up, an interview with her ex-husband as well, who says she's never been involved in protests. She's not that type. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I don't really care about the specifics, honestly. The scene itself is horrific. It shows a completely untrained, for lack of a better word, police force. They fail to secure the scene, and then they don't allow medical attention. It's horrific. And then the aftermath is even more terrifying, because before anybody had any facts whatsoever, Kristi Noem labeled her a domestic terrorist. Under Pam Bondi's new memo, as a domestic terrorist, you barely have any rights. So,
well, people on both sides of it are being pretty irresponsible. It's
agreed.
Not just
Agreed. Yeah.
Starting maybe with Trump's tweet.
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, the first one, I don't even see here.
The one that started when he came in. Oh, you have one?
There it is. There it is. There's so many images down there. He and like the other people in the Trump administration are prematurely deciding that the officer's innocent. And then those other people who are on the other side are prematurely deciding that it wasn't appropriate or legal for the shooting. I think that let's separate these issues, because one thing is we can talk about like the best police procedures, and judge them in that way. But let's also separate from that what's legal. I think we should start with what is just a fact, and that is that if it was reasonable for the ICE agent to fear that this woman was a danger to others, meaning that she might kill or seriously injure any other person, then it's just a fact it was a lawful shooting. And if it was not unreasonable for the cop to think that, then it was an illegal shooting. So I think we should start there if we're interested in assessing whether or not it was legal. The main question is, was it reasonable for him to think that? Is that fair?
Would we consider like ICE agents being cops?
No. They're not even allowed to detain U.S. citizens.
Yes, they are. Where did you get that from?
They're not supposed to be arresting and detaining U.S. citizens.
What do you mean by not supposed to be? It's one thing to say
they are immigration enforcement. Why are they arresting U.S. citizens?
Because of what happened. I mean, they have the authority to do that. It's true that their focus is immigration, but they do have the authority to do it.
No, ICE cannot lawfully arrest, detain, or deport U.S. citizens, as their authority only applies to non-citizens. However, citizens should be prepared to prove their status with documentation.
It sounds like you're reading something. Where did you get that from?
I literally just Googled it, and the link is to the government.
All right. Well, here's Andy McCarthy, former federal prosecutor.
If you want to give me the link, Sarah, I can also put that up.
Yeah. And he's saying that even if she wasn't deliberately trying to hit him, it's an offense if it's basically an assault, because Well, you can read it right there. That's his interpretation of it, but let me show you the actual statute.
I'm reading.
Now, the other thing is we're talking about is the authority. Let me see if I can find that. I got into a back and forth with Glenn, well, more Janine Younes, a little bit Glenn Greenwald. And I looked it up. I found the statute. I don't know if I have it here, but I'll get it before we're done. I know for a fact they do have the authority.
Okay.
All right.
No, I don't think so. They don't have legal authority to civilly detain U.S. citizens if they arrest you for a federal crime. Then you have Miranda rights. If ICE suspects that you're not a U.S. citizen, you have the right to remain silent, get a lawyer. Proof of citizenship is critical. They can arrest U.S. citizens for criminal violations, cannot legally detain them for immigration purposes. It's not, I don't think it is quite the same thing. And that's from an immigration lawyer on this very question of can ICE arrest a U.S. citizen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't find ICE at all legitimate. We've had this discussion on the show before. I've kind of beaten the dead horse on that, where I've said that this is basically, like I was just insinuating, this just this further progression of a police state. We already have the Border Patrol. Now we have ICE, given the Patriot Act, and now it's going to be used on U.S. citizens. Just a matter of time. That's my whole take, and I just don't like ICE, and I don't think anyone should be given them a free pass for any of this. I mean, how many U.S. citizens have they actually detained and kept? I mean, you hear all these stories. I think, what is this? It's a Vietnamese national who ended up dying in one of the ICE facilities and was hogtied, and then we were told that it was suicide, and there's just no other reporting on it. I mean, they're like acting like lawless little thugs right now, and no one's. And then we're stuck having this conversation on what they can actually do, and they're really not even a legitimate organization in my mind.
Let's see here.
Well, we're not stuck because, it changes what the argument is. If I'm right, and I am right, just give me a little time to find it, then the argument, if you want to nail them, is that it wasn't reasonable.
He can't tell her to stop her car. He can't detain her. They weren't in the middle of an operation. They were driving down the street. Even though eyewitnesses said there were more ICE people than protesters. He was not in any danger.
Well, I think there's another argument that it's not really there. I can argue both sides of it. So there is that a cop that is trained should never approach a vehicle from the front or the back, especially when it's on. I know that he might not have seen it as a threat, and then when the car started to back up and then accelerate, okay, maybe. But I would like to see the other two officers, I think they have hopefully body cams, or officers, ICE agents, to see where her face was at. Because if she's more concerned about these two individuals, has no idea where this man's coming from, how can he perceive it as a threat?
Yeah, what you're saying there, though, is not that it's not American citizens, Jeff.
No. Here it is. Now we can bring the rest of it in if you don't believe me, but the fact it refers to immigration laws down there at the bottom, maybe you'll take my word for it. This is about what immigration officers can do. And they can make arrests, for any offense, keyword any offense against the United States, if it's committed in their presence. And they can also do it if it's not in their presence, if they have reasonable grounds to believe it happened, and if it's in the context of them performing their duties. That's it.
I'm not really comfortable with making excuses for this ICE agent shooting an American woman in the face.
It's not making excuses, because you could still say that it wasn't reasonable for them to say that. It's just being accurate about what their authority is.
I don't even think we should be having this discussion. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't have descended upon Minneapolis the way they have. They are doing it on purpose. They are creating a hostile environment for these people who are trying to live. They say that there are ICE agents on every road blocking traffic. It's a nuisance. It's apparently it's a hazard. It's a safety hazard and a risk. There's children around there. And then the next day they attacked a school. This is a problem. And I don't care what memo Pam Bondi comes out with, or what Mark Rubio says, or what Kirsty Noem decides that day when she's on Fox and Friends. Our laws are not moral. They're not ethical. They're not keeping us safe.
Well, I would like to know more about what that Pam Bondi thing is, because that is certainly, that is unnerving about that. But the DHS came out against what the New York Times had reported. This is going back to October 1st. And they said, the quote actually was, "We've said it a million times, ICE does not arrest or deport U.S. citizens. And any U.S. citizen is arrested only because of obstructing or assaulting law enforcement." That is the one thing that Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said. So I don't know. I think it is clear that shouldn't have happened, but they said the DHS.gov says right there, ICE does not arrest or detain U.S. citizens. So I don't know how you can say that. I think there's more to it than what you're saying, Jeff. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I just showed you the law. That's what counts. And
I don't think it's full. I don't think it. Does it? I don't know if that's.
It's not about what they say on a website to kind of describe their mission and what their focus is.
No, it's
they either have the authority or they don't, and they do have the authority. So if you want to make the argument, Sarah, or anybody wants to make the argument that they don't belong there and so forth, you're not going to be as effective when you go in, not just with us, but in general. This is going to be a public debate in the coming weeks and so forth. You're not going to be as effective if you're just wrong about what their authority is.
Not really. Another tragedy will happen in 3 days, and that'll be the debate.
Well, that's why I just said there was something in Portland, Oregon, where there was that shooting there as well.
Well, but do we know if there's a controversy over that?
I'm sure they deserved it.
Okay.
Or the videos that were coming out of the
was the ICE officer scared? We better find out if he was scared.
Mm-hmm. I think this one that you're saying, Ryan, happened with Border Patrol. So, it's...
Oh, cool. The people who detained me, strip searched me, cavity searched me, and then sent me on my way phoneless, and I had to find my way home from SeaTac. These people are animals. I will never take their side in anything.
Yeah, see, here's the other thing. Let's take it bigger on this question of, the law. Okay, you say the law. And so you take, for example, what...
You're wrong in your question.
He said...
Number one, Venezuela is a major source. And the reason why is the following. And I've seen a lot of this reporting, and it's fake reporting, and I'll tell you why. It says that somehow Venezuela is not involved in the drug trade because the UN says they're not involved in the UN. I don't care what the UN says. The UN doesn't.
Okay, I don't care what the UN says. Now, speaking of international law, then we seized the ship, the Venezuelan tanker, Russian tanker, and we cited the UN Convention of the Seas, which is the international agreed law. So you can't say that sometimes you go by the law and sometimes you do, you don't go by the law. That's the problem, I think, that the discussion is missing.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the same thing as taking this language that's not really the law and, trying to pretend it is as opposed to what the law says. Rubio is, spewing rhetoric. It doesn't really matter what he says.
The law doesn't matter either.
It might not. Yeah,
Trump just let us know it doesn't matter. There's nothing that can stop him except his morality. That's what he said in his New York Times interview.
Yeah. Well, that's worth objecting to that. But I'm a little bit fuzzy on how the UN works. There's there's the Security Council and then there's the General Assembly. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
What's supposed to happen? I don't know who I was saying. It might have been Andy McCarthy was saying that the Security Council, the U.S. would just veto whatever action was taken.
Yeah, just take one second. Take 1 second. So this is Trump said nothing can limit his global power. So he was asked in an interview, if this isn't big enough, I can make it a little bit bigger. Yes. This is Wednesday.
Yeah, it's today. No, it's today.
It's today.
Well, it was published today, but he sat down with the New York Times yesterday. Yeah.
Asked in a wide-ranging interview with the New York Times if there were any limits on his global powers, Mr. Trump said, yeah, there is one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me. I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people. And then they pressed him. He says it depends on what your definition of international law is.
Right. Right. Yeah. So clearly he's being arrogant. But the point I'm making is just because he's being arrogant, it doesn't mean that anytime somebody just starts yelling about international law that they have a good point. You still have to be specific about, how the U.S. is breaking in and what should be done about it. And that's why I'm asking about the UN. Assuming that what I heard is true or what I read is true, I don't know that it's Trump's fault that the U.S. can just veto it if somebody files a charge in the UN. I mean, whose fault is it that it's all set up that way? Didn't they all agree to this system?
Well, yeah.
So
right
what's
after...
in other words, what is supposed to happen aside from Trump being arrogant? What is supposed to happen?
She got really quiet on me. What do you mean? What is supposed to happen? Well, the Trump.
Meaning if there is a violation of the UN Charter, what is supposed to happen about that? How is that?
Well, you could have.
How is somebody supposed to make a judgment? What?
It's not always. You could have China veto, Russia veto. You just need one veto in the Security Council from the Powerful Five, I believe.
Security Council.
Yeah. Did I say that or did I say?
No, you said Powerful Five. Whatever. Same thing.
To knock out the vote. I think.
Right.
And.
So aside from Trump's arrogance, he's sort of right in the sense that it doesn't matter if they've all agreed to this system where anybody can just veto it. I mean,
well, no,
I think that's the
no.
You're not understanding how international law is supposed to work. They can only veto things on the Security Council when they're put to vote. You don't just get to veto laws as you go along.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? Explain it to me.
Like the Security Council gets a proposal. It could be a condemnation of something. It could be anything. Then they vote on that, but you don't vote on the application of international law.
But I think that there's also another caveat that we don't sign on to some of the statutes, like the Roman statute. We don't recognize.
That's ICC, ICJ, yeah.
But that's the part of the enforcement aspect of the UN. If I'm not mistaken, right? So that's another.
Well, no. If it's by international treaty, then the idea is all the nations actually work to enforce it. But the ICJ, I think, is different than the UN Security Council policy. But
let me, because Sarah is educating me here. You're making a distinction between vetoing some proposal law and vetoing.
They don't propose laws at the UN, really.
Okay, well, what was the distinction you were making? So let's say that somebody somehow puts forth a charge. Then what happens?
What charge? You don't charge people at the UN.
Let's not get too hung up on my language. We're saying
you can't take people to court at the UN.
I'm asking a question. If the U.S. has violated the UN Charter, whatever words you use, what is supposed to happen?
I think they encourage other nations to take.
So you're talking about the UN Charter. You're not talking about international law.
Well, there's various accusations going around. One that I'm aware of is that a lot of people are saying that it's a violation of the UN Charter because Venezuela is a sovereign nation and we took their leader. That's one thing I'm aware of. So I'm just saying, well, what is supposed to happen? It's a simple question.
Well, you would face expulsion and possible military force or sanctions. But since the United States runs the UN and they created it, they can do whatever they want. That's why it was made.
And in fact, that is, I think, to make another point, Sarah, DD Geopolitics came out with Marco Terrorism. The U.S. enters a new age of neoconservatism. I recommend people read this article because I think it kind of addresses the broader point, Jeff, that you're bringing up. The whole thing is now we've kind of crossed a threshold. We're in a new domain that we were not supposed to be in. We were supposed to be in the domain of anti-neoconservative, anti-imperial actions. You know, we were talking beforehand. Now you got Alex Jones saying that what we did in Venezuela is against the New World Order. Just crazy.
What does that even mean?
What does it mean? I don't know. You've got
it's against
Rubio.
the gay frogs.
I don't even know. So what's happened is that we've just basically said everything is out the window. This is why Scott last night on Ask the Inspector said that he's not even comfortable talking about disarmament anymore, because how can you talk about treaties for limiting nuclear, right?
There's a great article by Arnold Bertram. He wrote about that this is basically the end of it. This is the beginning of the end for America. Kidnapping Maduro was the beginning of the end because we've exhibited that we've completely lost our moral grounding. And it feeds into this question. Your morals are what keep you from breaking the law. It's not the law. Most people will break the law anyway. If we don't have any morals as a country, all bets are off. If we're the world hegemon, then we've just plunged the world into anarchy.
Yeah, and to that point, of course, everybody who is defending what we did, they say, well, the Monroe Doctrine. Interesting thing. Again, Scott referred to how the Roosevelt corollary actually came about around Venezuela back in 1904. The thing that was interesting with what Roosevelt did, Teddy Roosevelt that is, not Franklin Roosevelt, is he said that the United States would intervene as a last resort to ensure that other nations in the Western Hemisphere fulfilled their obligations to international creditors and did not violate the rights of the United States. So the interesting thing is suddenly we identified ourselves as the collector for European financial interests in South America, which was the opposite of the Monroe Doctrine. That's the Roosevelt correlate. So in other words, to you, what you're saying, Jeff, is that you have administrations that just willy-nilly decide by decree that nation states don't have any power or anything like that, or you can just do whatever the hell you want to do. Sarah, do you see it the same way, or Morgan, do you see it similarly?
Yeah, that's the argument that given the fact that the U.S. didn't recognize Maduro as the sovereign leader of Venezuela, that has the right that we took him, which is like the United States law is not the supreme law of the entire globe. Like it's
yeah, but in this case, there's about 50 nations that don't recognize.
How many don't recognize Kosovo? Can I go kidnap Albin Kurdi?
Well, I don't know if you can or not, but isn't it relevant that it's not just the U.S. saying that he's not the rightful president? Isn't it relevant that?
They're all like.
It's Europe. It's Europe and the U.S.
It's the Western actors. They have this common denominator amongst them.
What about the people? I know it's hard to be precise, but do any of you nice people have a take on to what extent the people of Venezuela consider him the rightful president?
I only know the people that I speak to in Venezuela. So, it's not a large swath of people, but I only know Maduro supporters.
Our friend, I don't think he's ever been on the show, Garland Nixon, he was actually an election observer.
So was my co-host, yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard that
Chris was?
Yeah, Chris has met and hung out with Maduro the last time he was in Venezuela.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, Sarah, but there's like 3 forms of identification that you need to go and get the vote, and then you get your thumb inked. So they say that it's more secure than American elections. Yep. then we have we turn around and say, oh no, that was a funny election. That this is the actual rightful owner. That no one really even knew, that Juan Guaido. Everyone was kind of like, who are you talking about? And then you have Maria Machado, the same thing, where she's not even Trump's even stated she doesn't have the support of the people. Even though she's lauded as this poor opposition that had to flee the country because Maduro is this dictator that's going to lock her up, even though if another.
Well, I think some of the question comes in about the validity of the elections with Maduro, because I guess they were using the Dominion election machines or something like that. Isn't that, Sarah? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure.
I think they read out the elections.
They're paper ballots.
They were somebody said that it was.
I thought they accused Venezuela of interfering in our election.
Oh, that's what it was.
That was the funniest thing I've ever heard. I was like, every day you tell me how stupid third worlders are, right? All these dumb global Southerners, they're hacking into our elections and rigging them. Oh, okay. Like, this is bananas. You can't have it both ways.
All right. So the question.
I was exactly right. I just found online that they have veto power. They, meaning the U.S., which means they can block enforcement actions. So, so I'm saying, yeah, okay. On one hand, we can criticize Trump for being arrogant. On the other hand, if everybody agrees to this system, that's kind of weird. And I think there's more to it than just blaming Trump. Why did they all agree to this system?
Well, I think you did not have
because clearly if they don't agree, they'll get kidnapped or killed. Like, what do you mean?
Well, that wasn't clear in prior years.
Of course, they're all going to agree. The Europeans had to agree, or they weren't going to get rebuilt.
It was the post-war.
Yeah, and a lot of the other countries, like Gaddafi's famous, I think it's like a 40-minute speech. He goes in and he talks about how, that is the case. Like, why did you get us to sign on if, the U.S. or the West collectively can just veto and invade our countries? And then he had to go. You can't be spouting off some enlightening stuff to the crowd like that. So, not a lot of countries signed on to that. They didn't willingly sign on to that rule. And I think it's really been its initial, what Eleanor Roosevelt wanted it to be. It's not what it is. She wanted it to be something that actually guided the humanity and towards.
See, that was part of the whole thing too, is that they couldn't call it, they had to not recognize Maduro as the elected head of state, because then that would be regime change and that would be illegal. That would be an act of war. So that's why they had to come up with this whole cockamamie story about drugs.
Yeah. What is regime? How would you define regime change?
I think that the ideology would need to be swapped out. So in this case, there is no regime change.
Yeah.
Like the political party, the ruling party would at least need to be removed.
Right. And what does that say about the U.S. motives?
I don't really chalk it up to weird motives. I chalk it up to incompetency and a bunch of grown men, children wanting to play with toys. What's the point of having a Delta Force if you can't make it do things? This is Stephen. This says Stephen Miller. This operation has Stephen Miller and Marco Rubio all over it.
What about what Scott Ritter said in that clip we had in the opening, that because there was such little resistance, that suggests to him that some of the elite, if not a lot of the elite in Venezuela, were bought off. Do you guys buy that?
I won't spread stories like that because they cause discord inside of the country. But what we do know today is that they did try to shoot down a helicopter and it was hit. A pilot was injured, which probably means he was killed, because we know when they, in a few weeks, we'll see a couple people died in exercises here and there. There will be the guys who died in Venezuela. But there were attempts to shoot down the helicopters. Their air defenses were jammed and turned off by the Growlers. That's a system that I worked on. They can jam the city of Moscow. Yeah. They're very, very powerful.
Well, I think that the whole point. Oh, go ahead, Morgan.
I'm sure there were people in on it, but I just don't have that proof, and I don't. Of course, there's going to be people that sympathize or traitors. It's not. Nothing's
well,
ever
acting
perfect.
President Rodriguez, she did sack that general. I threw the picture up. General Tabata, essentially saying he was on the take and he was involved.
Yeah, he could also be the fall guy, This stuff is all very like fog of regime change. I don't know, fog of war.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Yeah, I was going to say there's
well, Scott didn't say there was no resistance.
Morgan.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Morgan.
No, that the U.S. has been taking recently, where it's like, okay, we're in peace talks. The Trump is talking to Maduro. Or, back with the 12-day war, Iran was talking to the U.S., or Operation Spiderweb. The U.S. is talking to Russia, and then these attacks happen. So it's almost like the military lets down their guard. That could be another, something at play here, where you have Maduro and Trump talking. Maduro's basically giving him everything on a silver platter, saying, "I'll give you all of the, the oil," and you don't know what's going back and forth. If that's kind of just my speculation that could have been taking place as well, where you have, this U.S.
Kind of let his guard down a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Morgan, your microphone is low. I think something's wrong with your microphone.
Is your microphone off, Morgan?
Yeah.
No.
You got to switch.
Tap on it.
Oh, it's there. It's there.
You guys are so funny.
I know.
Now we can hardly hear Sarah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, now you're quiet. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, you're fine, Morgan. Who gives a shit?
We need a producer.
I know. Who doesn't have a regular job? Who can just produce?
Now you're making me afraid to notice these things. You think I was complaining too much? But Ryan and Morgan, isn't Sarah too low now?
It's quiet. Yeah, Sarah is quiet, but
I don't know, Sarah. Here's my question, and we're gonna say the quiet part out loud. Maybe
This better? Better?
No.
Better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's lots of echoes. Son of a gun.
Good. You want to say the quiet part out loud?
Yes, which is that some people that I spoke to who are talking to people in the administration are saying that President Trump is having a form of, or will have a form of, cognitive deterioration at a certain point. Not Biden, but 79. He's working a 14-hour day. He's got his Mar-a-Lago kitchen cabinet. He's basically juggling all of these different things at once, because like you said in the post, it's all based on what he says. Even what Witkoff is doing, or with Dmitriev, all of these things are tied directly to Trump. At some point, it's like, is he reaching
Well, of course,
a breaking
it's
point?
not even debate. That's not even debatable. He's human, so of course, as he ages, his cognitive ability is going to diminish. The only question is to what degree.
And now, that's the question.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
All right, we have a
Wow.
phone call. Do you guys feel like taking a phone call?
Sure.
All right. Hopefully the audio will be okay for that. Hang on a second. I'm sorry, I said that a little too. Oh, here it is now. I'll get it. Takes a minute for it to show up. Hey there, you're on with Sarah, Ryan, Morgan, and Jeff. Who's this?
Hey, this is Moby from Oklahoma.
Moby.
I just thought I'd chime in on the Venezuela conversation. And one thing I haven't seen people talk about is, yes, this is a lot about oil, but I think it's more of a symptom of the ongoing collapse of the United States, because a lot of shale oil executives and companies have talked about the shale oil plays are basically peaking. They're played out. The U.S. Permian Basin is expected to be played out in, December of last year. And so the difference is U.S. conventional fields usually peak over a period of maybe 50 years. You'll see the little stripper wells pumping in the countryside, decades and decades after that oil is played out. But for shale oil, those fields peak over a period of about 6 to 8 years. So it's a very rapid decline. So I think this Venezuela thing is tied into the idea that we could see a third of U.S. oil production dropping and being unavailable within the next decade.
That's peak oil,
the
right?
The U.S. is doing this out of desperation.
All right, hang on, Ryan. Before Ryan replies, Moby, can you lower your computer, please? Because we're hearing your voice come back on delay.
Oh, okay, that's odd because I'm not even in the same room as my.
Oh, you're not? I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not you. It's us.
You guys might actually have somebody.
Oh, it's us. Okay.
It's
Go ahead,
Jeff.
Ryan.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff, put your mute on a second. I think Moby.
Earbuds. How could it
Yeah.
be me?
It could be you.
Is my earbuds too close to the microphone?
Could be. Yeah, Moby, I think you're talking about peak oil in general, right?
Yes. I mean, peak oil got a bad rap over the years because there were a lot of different factions within that peak oil community talking about prices are going to spike up and stay forever, and all these things that turned out to not be quite true for how the dynamic would work. But the reality is that oil's in the ground. It's something that you have to, the reality is in the 1930s, I don't know if you've ever seen There Will Be Blood, that Daniel Day-Lewis movie, but back then you had to drill 600 feet underground and you had a bonanza of oil. Now you have to offshore a small city and float it out into the Gulf of Mexico, drill through now 9,000 feet of a rock after you get to the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, and then you're working with another 3,000 feet of salt domes, which basically act like toothpaste, have the consistency of toothpaste at those depths and temperatures. So, civilizations really reach geologic limits to their physical.
Well, hold on a second. Let me just say
resources.
Let me interrupt you a second. Moby, this is his area of expertise because he and I talk. Although I don't, and I want to hear, Sarah, what you think about that. I don't think peak oil actually is a thing. And I think that oil is constantly being redeveloped in the earth. And it's basically an unlimited supply. I think this has to do with stopping China, stopping Russia, an anti-BRICS thing. This is our hemisphere. It's our new empire, is this hemisphere.
Oh, I agree. I don't really think we're empire building. We're kind of empire grasping, trying and clawing at whatever we can kind of get. I think that grabbing the oil is about controlling the scarcity and controlling the supply and obviously where the oil goes to. But it's more about controlling the scarcity and controlling Venezuela. It's very weird, the aftermath, even the discussions about the oil following, where they're not going to sell oil to our adversaries. Well, China only buys 5% of their oil from Venezuela, and Russia's a net exporter. So what are we talking about here? You're not seriously harming either of them. We found the echo.
Yeah, but you know what else? Somebody else just said it's you, Sarah. And now this person's saying
maybe me too.
I think if everybody turns their microphone off, then it'll be just fine.
It's not me because I lowered my volume in my earbuds, so it's definitely not me. All right. If everybody can just lower their volume of their speaker or earbuds a little bit, that will hopefully solve it.
So, taking on what you said, Sarah, I was thinking about this idiot Senator Rick Scott. Okay, a guy who is the biggest Medicare fraudster in American history when he was the CEO of Columbia Healthcare. That's the guy that is saying, okay, now we're going to start taking over all these countries and we're going to be bringing democracy. In other words, it's a Hobbesian world. It's a Hobbesian universe that it's each against all. That's what they want. That is, or I don't know if they want it, but they figure through the chaos, they're going to get something out of it.
There's also kind of working in the Yarvin ideology a little bit. They're sort of corporate monarchists.
Say again.
The Yarvin, Curtis Yarvin ideology. They're monarchist, corporatists. They think that companies should sort of run their own sovereign areas. So as we're taking over these places, we're handing them over to people. If you look, Honduras is being handed over to Andreessen and Thiel and the Indian guy, I can never remember his name. Greenland is very, very, Ron Lauder is heavily invested and interested in Greenland. He's the chairman of the World Jewish Congress. Paul Singer, his nickname is the Vulture. That's a great nickname. Well, he's got interest in Venezuela. So we are doing this for our oligarchs. We're not really doing this for empire building. These places, They're talking about the oil companies will go in and run everything. That's how it should be run.
That is the model of like the British East India Company, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. It's not American though. It's Israeli.
Well, that's where I was going to go with this because I did talk to Chris and he said, bring up the Isaac Accords. And I saw this article because I don't think Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran or any these countries are not involved in Venezuela, but the one country from the Middle East that is involved in Latin America is Israel. So, Sarah, why don't you say something about that?
Well, I didn't want it to be this way. What had happened was my producer complained to me. He was like, the show's getting boring. And I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, it's constantly Israel. I can't take it, because he's European. And I was like, well, that's the only thing that's going on here. I said, let me do a really thorough update on South America for an episode. And then that way we'll get away from the Israel thing and we'll talk
Sorry to screw that up.
So we'll talk about American imperialism and kind of how things are changing and that and whatnot into a more multipolar world. And then I started researching Venezuela, and then I came across the Isaac Accords, and I was just like, I tried, okay? And, you know, and then I kind of, after I discovered them and I learned about them, we covered them on our stream, and then I started watching Trump's behavior, especially in Latin and South America, and everything he was doing was to get rid of the leftists and get in his friends. The things that are going on down there are very, very weird. The guy that he pardoned, for instance, in Honduras, the cocaine trafficker or whatever, he was the president of Honduras. While he was president, he allowed Peter Thiel and other venture capitalists to come in and create sovereign cities. This one created by Thiel and Andreessen is called Prospera, so just Prosper and then an A tacked onto the end. They were started under Juan Hernandez. These places are actually like lawless, and they're ran by the venture capitalists. The woman who came after Juan Hernandez after he went to prison, Xiomara, and I can never remember her last name, she wanted to put an end to this. She said these places are hotspots for crime, narco trafficking, and human trafficking. And she wanted to put an end to this. Now you know why Trump interfered in the election and pardoned Juan Hernandez. And he said today, or a couple days ago, he said, I mean, the Hondurans are happy because he's part of that political party that's in charge now. So now they're all back together, all the drug traffickers. And you know what's really funny is that last night, and this is just an aside, Jesse Waters asks J.D. Vance, how are you going to stop drug trafficking, or how are you going to do the war on drugs when Americans love cocaine? And I was like, they do? So we know why we're setting up shop down in Latin and South America. So that's that. The Isaac Accords are really interesting because they're actually just like the Abraham Accords, but even more like you bow down to Israel. There was, you know, you have those crazy conspiracy theory people and they're like, one world government. And I'm always like, shut up. And like every single signature or treaty, it's like you must move your embassy to Jerusalem. Must move your embassy to Jerusalem. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so, yeah, that's the Isaac Accords. Bibi will go there in a few weeks. He's going to Argentina, which is on fire right now. They caught an Israeli tourist setting fire to the woods. This is something else is going on down there. Bibi's going there in a few weeks to celebrate the Argentina's entrance into the Isaac Accords. I spoke to Bibi Netanyahu's former advisor today, Gilad, whatever his last name is, Gilad, and he said that Honduras will be next to join.
To join
the Isaac Accords, yes.
Oh, okay.
Wow, yeah.
Argentina joined with, so Milei was awarded the Israel Prize. He got $1 million for that, and then he turned around and donated it to the Isaac Accords and said, we're joining, we'll be the first country.
By the way, you mentioned what your producer was saying to you. You stream a lot on X. I was talking to Ryan about this the other day, and I was asking him, am I just happening to notice it now, or is Sarah like streaming more than she usually does? I just like every single time I went into X, I saw that you were streaming. And he said, oh no, she streams all the time.
It's the coffee.
He must be right. Do you do it at particular times, or just when you feel inspired?
I've been streaming a lot this week because I've been doing a lot of appearances, but usually it's only Sunday and Wednesday.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm between the video part and the what do you call it, the Spaces thing. I'm just constantly seeing it.
Yeah, I'm always there. I live online.
What's a day in the life of Sarah? I mean, you've got to spend some time doing research just to stay up on everything before.
Most of my day is just researching. I'm retired, so most of my day is researching.
Right.
But nothing
Okay,
interesting. It's just me and my dog. Really, nothing.
All right, we're going to put a closed circuit camera on you.
You'll be very bored. You'll be like, oh, like, this is what's going on behind the curtain. This is very uneventful.
All right, Moby hung up without saying a formal goodbye, just so you know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Moby. Well, we'll talk later. We'll see.
Now your volume is too low. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I can't hear Ryan.
I think we're going to have to designate this a StreamYard problem.
Yes, I like that.
And now I hear myself echoing back, too. Jesus, this is terrible.
And I was on mute. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, all right. So we were talking earlier about you can't talk about New START, disarmament. You have the Scott Ritter says there should be a break up between.
Ryan, you're echoing and your volume.
No,
is
he's
too
not
low.
echoing anymore.
He's echoing on my end.
Okay.
Audience, are you hearing Ryan
There
echo?
there shouldn't be a Dmitriev Witkoff meeting because you can't really trust Witkoff because basically it's part of what you were saying, Sarah, that it's the oligarchy type. I think though that you need to have a discussion between Russia and the United States. It's like there's no more red line, whatever that red phone was. Remember that emergency line? There has to be something, and you can't trust Marco Rubio, even though it would be Rubio and Lavrov. So, Morgan, what do you think about that? And then, Sarah, what do you think about that?
I don't hear anybody now.
I can't hear anyone.
You first, Sarah. You first, Sarah. This is crazy, by the way.
I think that they should stop talks, period. News now is coming out that the Witkoffs were doing insider trading on the capture of Maduro. These people are sick. We should not be sending them to other countries. These people are sick. They made $400,000 off of the abduction of Maduro because they were doing insider trading on it. The Witkoffs are a very disgusting family. I was really surprised, and I was even more shocked when Putin continued the talks and then allowed Larry Fink in them. This is disgusting. And maybe Putin was allowing them to kind of show their butts a little bit and be like, look at how disgusting this is. You're really going to send the real estate developer and the head of BlackRock to come and negotiate over Ukraine? And that's, he constantly says, nobody cares more about Ukraine besides Russia. And that's the absolute truth.
That's absolutely true, yes.
I really hate Witkoff a lot. He's one of my least favorites out of the whole group because his sons and the Trump sons are just really gross people.
Kushner as well.
Oh God. I think he might be like a servant of the Antichrist. I'm not even kidding. He's so evil.
His smooth skin.
Oh, it's like, and his way he like talks like very like, and I'm like, what? He's like, why is this person in charge of anything?
I've heard. I think it was the Crazy Village lady Mel. She said that she's heard that Kushner is actually very charming in rooms, and that checks out.
Well, he's gay. Gay guys are usually incredibly charming.
Well, is that why his hair is so?
That's why Ryan is so charismatic. Hey, listen, I just discovered that on my end, the echo cancellation. I just discovered on my end that the echo cancellation that's usually checked was unchecked. So I checked it. Can you guys do the same on your end?
Oh my God.
Son of a bitch. I did it.
This is.
People are asking about this.
Oreshnik, yeah. Oreshnik in Lvov.
Lvov. Does that look like that? It looks like it to me.
You should see the sky afterwards. It's still glowing. It's crazy looking.
This is only one of the videos I've seen. But when you see them come in, they're moving just like that first time. Now, the reason I was thinking about that because everybody in the chat is asking about the Oreshnik. I mean, I'm wondering if it is in response to the fact that all of this is going on. It's another demonstration. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they pounded at Zelensky's hometown all day. And they don't usually strike Lvov with Oreshnik. I mean, I think they have once before. I know they've struck it like a few times in the past, but they had specific targets and they were wiped. Like that was it. But yeah, this is a very poignant message to the Europeans, probably.
they need to. They're really stupid, so they need that message.
Oh, they're really screwed.
They are really dumb about these things. This was. They said that previously, to what you're saying, the Oreshnik had hit the underground gas facilities. So about 50% of all of the storage facilities in Ukraine in the previous.
You figured it out.
Oh, look at you, Jeff.
Yeah.
You know what? By the
covers
time
Morgan's face.
Yeah, I know. So we can't move it. Oh, it says regular or small, but we can't move the location of it.
So Sarah, I met your producer. Why don't we get together between him and
go ahead. Yeah, go.
We should.
I'm serious. Yeah. Do you need his contact?
I do. Yeah, you're gonna have to send it to me.
Okay. It's Area 5Z on Twitter, or both at Twitter and Telegram, but I sent it to the private chat anyway.
Awesome. Okay. Oh yeah. 5Z.
Mm-hmm. Like 52.
5. I was looking at the wrong one. Oh, yes. I met him the other night. So anyway, okay. All right. So now we know that Jeff is not as good of a lawyer as he thinks he is. My next question is,
what are you talking
he's a good sound guy.
I'm superb. What are you talking about? I got everything right.
You were coming up with all your statutes, but the fact is that Donald Trump says it doesn't matter. It's just what I want.
Yeah.
It's just what I want.
That doesn't conflict with anything I said.
It sure does.
Chip will find a way to be right. This is awesome.
All right.
Well, how was I wrong? You tell me. I showed you the statute. You want me to?
You know
show
what?
You
Let me just say, you've been more right in 2026.
I've done everything right.
All
mistakes were made.
Also, Supreme Court. There you go.
That's a police officer. ICE cannot arrest you unless you're committing a federal offense. Like what? You have to be committing a federal offense. That's really serious.
You're saying that I won't have been wrong even after I've showed you the statute.
It's out of context.
Also, it is a federal offense. I mean, not that I'm deeming them guilty, but in terms of what the dispute is, it is a federal offense that they're saying this woman committed.
They also said she's a domestic terrorist. I don't trust anything this government says.
Yeah, what is a domestic terrorist? I mean,
when I think Bondi's memo, and I'll get you that. I'll get you a link to that. I think I have one close by. But on Pam Bondi's memo, it can be anybody who is anti-American. They don't specify what that means, but I'm sure that means anti-Semitic or etc. Anti-capitalist, which is a really interesting specification. And I think anti-Christian was in there.
Okay, well, so the reason I bring
or
that
if you were radically pro-immigration, which I don't know anybody radically pro. I know a few people that are like, I don't really care, but I don't know anybody that's like, we better get those immigrants in.
It's like there's no actual legal term for narco-terrorist.
There's your federal statute, by the way. You don't have to trust the Trump to just interpret that statute.
See, when I think of a domestic terrorist, I think of way back in the old days in 1995, Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombing. But we also know there was questions about that activity as well. But that would be like the closest thing, at least visually speaking. What else? I don't know what else. So now I was thinking, and I've heard that the Chinese are going to release the Epstein files because, according to the news, they've hacked all the congressional servers.
This would be the greatest thing ever. Do you understand how amazing this would be? Like, if they did this, if this is true, if it was like, it needs to be Russia or China because it needs to be hilarious. One. Number two, this is the ultimate Trump card. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the weapon of mass destruction.
That's so true when you put it that way.
He's willing to kidnap Maduro. The day that he kidnapped Maduro was the day they were supposed to explain to us why the retractions took place.
Mm-hmm.
They still haven't gone through everything, but Pambani's telling me they arrested some human traffickers or something. Like, they just make up stories. So yes, this is the WMD. The Epstein files is the WMD. It's the only thing they're like really scared of. These people are not scared of anything. They're probably scared of dying and the Epstein, I call them the Epstein Accords. The Epstein files.
Well, you did hear, though, that the Chinese supposedly hacked the congressional.
I did hear about the hacking, but I didn't know they got the Epstein files.
No. I'm making that up.
Oh.
I'm making that up. That was a little projection.
Such a dick. I'm about to leave.
That would've been
I was
awesome.
so excited.
I know.
If you're listening, China or Russia, you have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Steal Ryan's idea.
Use Salt Typhoon.
Or Iran. You guys would be funny as well. Any of the three. Or DPRK. Get to it.
Oh, yeah, DPRK. Rocket Man. What if Rocket Man did it?
Rocket Man's sleeping at night. He's not getting kidnapped. Iran, take notes. You better build the bomb before the Ayatollahs absconded to New York City.
So there was a time that I thought everybody should have a nuclear weapon, Sarah.
I still
what do
do.
you think? You do too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting on that field.
I've always been for nuclear proliferation.
I understand how dangerous they are. And
the Pakistanis and the Israelis have them. If those two have them, anybody can have them. That's where I'm at. The United States allowed Israel and Pakistan to get their hands on nukes. Anybody can have them.
I wouldn't say we allowed Israel. I think a certain kind of assassination had to take place for that too.
Sure.
To have taken place, but yeah.
All right. Kim.com says that we're hours away from Israel using nukes. That was yesterday.
Okay. How many hours, Kim?
I don't know. I mean, he said that.
More than 24?
Apparently more than 24.
We're doing really well, though. We have 8,000 on Twitter.
No.
Viewers. 8,000 viewers, yeah.
Oh, wow. Woo. I don't think Israel's doing perfectly fine. I think they're actually doing exceptionally well.
How so?
Israel?
Yeah. What do you mean?
And like what on track to getting the entire South America.
Oh, yeah. They are the like that way. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. They're manufacturing, legitimacy into their state. But again,
100%. And they have this interesting control over the rudder of this administration. It's not very direct. It's not like you're going to go. It's like they just kind of steer them in the right direction or get them hyped to do certain things that are advantageous for Israel. You saw immediately following the abduction of Maduro, Mike Huckabee said how great this is for Israel. And then we had the guy with the Freudian slip who said, this is so great for Israel, the people of Venezuela.
Yeah.
And it's what are you guys thinking about? Thinking about Israel?
And that's also part of the whole Somali scandal, right? The Somali fraud. And Morgan and I were talking about this. Sarah, I asked you about this. I don't know if you found out more, but the whole idea that Israel wants to send Palestinians to Somaliland.
But it was something that you had made on your show that I had asked Ryan to get more information. It was you said that the Zionists wanted the Somalis to come here to the U.S. They were advocating for more refugee status for the Somali citizens. I found that very interesting. I couldn't find anything online that.
So what happened in Somalia is that Somalia was under civil war starting in 1991. The world ended when the USSR collapsed. Somalia went right into chaotic civil war. In 2006, a new government was elected. It was like the Islamic Council or Union Council is a group of Islamic imams and scholars that got together and they started governing the place, and this place enjoyed relative peace. And the people that lived there were like, this is the most peaceful it's been in 15 years. This is great. Well, what did we do? We pushed Ethiopia to invade them and we gave them air cover and we ousted the government because we wanted chaos. that's when the Somalis started really coming after that. And if you look up the organizations that were bringing them over, it was HIAS. HIAS was going through the refugee camps in Kenya. HIAS is the Hebrew Immigration, I don't remember what that association something. They were bringing them here and specifically putting them into Minnesota and Ohio. The reason why I even looked into this is because people were, when anybody tells me what I should be mad about, I'm like, I'm not going to listen to you. So they were telling me to be mad at these Somalis. And I'm like, I'm busy being mad at Trump. So, or like the administration. I'm not, why do you want me to, why are you distracting me from this? So I started digging into it. And my question is, man, I've lived here for my entire life. I've never figured out how to scam the government out of really any significant money. How are these Somalis figuring this out in a few years, how to scam the government out of billions?
And it's like 80 guys, 80 people. It's not even that many.
Yeah, I said somebody must be helping them. And not even that, as you said, it's a very small amount of people. There's only 300,000 Somalis in the whole country. So even if they did get 9 billion as a group, you would see it. They would have an incredibly
the bling.
Yeah, they would have built up communities. They would have bling. So it's obviously going somewhere. Most of the time when people get money, it goes back to their country in remittances. Right. This is going back to their country in form of paying. And I don't know if it's coming from the Somalis themselves or other sources, or it's being laundered because a congressman in Idaho was caught funding these terrorist groups in Somalia. So it could be a lot of different avenues that get the money there, but it does fund the terrorism in Somalia that created the destabilization, which gave more credence to the Israelis saying we should really recognize Somaliland because look how crazy the rest of Somalia is. This part is okay. We could take this part. So they focused on creating peace in the Somaliland region and focused on keeping the other parts incredibly chaotic.
That's why I think they're doing perfectly fine. Like they're situating themselves.
They're so smart, like the plans and like how and they're so pragmatic. They plan very far ahead, and they're not very nice. They're willing to do a lot of things to get what they want.
It's permanent interest, no real permanent allies. That's the old Lord Palmerston idea about that. You don't have alliances. You just keep to the policy. So
I worry that we're kind of becoming this sort of golem, for lack of a better word, for the Israelis. Because I can see no coherent plan after the Maduro abduction. I can't even get a straight answer as to why they did it out of any of them. None of them even know what's going on. But the Israelis are incredibly, they were caught with suitcases. People were caught with suitcases coming out of some of those daycare centers, and apparently some were Israeli. But so yeah, I mean, I just worry that we're just kind of doing their dirty work.
Well, I think you had made it the first time that you made it on the show. You kind of made the assessment that I find the right assessment, that like the oligarchs, this Anglo oligarch, project, they want Israel to succeed, but not, they're not Israeli, kind of is what I'm saying. It's so when we say like, oh, Israel's pulling the strings, no, it's this band of elites that have this vested interest in Israel succeeding.
It's Israel specifically succeeding. Yeah, correct. And I've said that too, because people will say, oh, Israel controls the United States and the United States controls Israel. I'm like, the elites on both sides have no borders. They're the same group. So, and it is very,
they're supranational. Yeah, that's what it is. But remember the whole Israel thing. Israel was created by the British. I mean, it is ultimately the old Anglo Empire, and it is a cult more than anything else. It's like a boys' club or insiders' club, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I always find to make that distinction relevant because people say that you're being hyperbolic when you're, Israel pulls everything. This little tiny country the size of New Jersey.
We'll look at Miriam Adelson and her husband. Her husband was American born. He's a born and bred American. She's Israeli born, American citizen. And for all intents and purposes, they're American. So it's not Israelis, really. I mean, then they're pulling a lot of strings, the Adelsons. So yeah, you're right. Saying Israeli completely isn't very accurate because a lot of these people, again, there's no borders. They just do whatever they want.
Why do you think that now that Trump is in his second term and can't be reelected, that he's still deferential to Miriam Adelson?
Because she's talking about getting him a third term. and giving him another $250 million.
That did come up at, was it CPAC or what? There was some event recently.
Hanukkah.
It wasn't CPAC. It was Hanukkah.
It was a Hanukkah party.
No, you're right. That's what it was. I saw the video. I watched it.
Why would Trump believe he can have a third term?
Because he's demented. And he thinks he can break international law. Why does he think? Why would our Constitution stop him?
Because you need the cooperation of people who clearly won't cooperate with such a thing.
They also might just be buttering him up. Yeah, we're talking, me and Alan Dershowitz. We'll get you a third term. We'll get you a third term. Just keep doing all the stupid stuff that we need you to do.
Any other theories about why he's deferential to Ryan or Morgan? Is it maybe because of how funneling money to members of Congress?
Well, for me personally, I want to hear that.
Let me just put it this way: Jeffrey Epstein wasn't supposed to die, and Trump let him die. He either allowed him to die, or he died on Trump's watch, and that was a huge loss to the Israelis. How many Israelis have said Jeffrey Epstein was the greatest blackmailer in history of the world? At least 3. He was great friends with Ehud Barak. He was great friends with Lutnick. Now, once he died, all of these people had to start figuring out how they were going to hide this, and now it's all coming out now. So they have Trump by the nads. Yeah, because Jeffrey Epstein was not supposed to die. I think that Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to die or whatever because they thought that it would go away if he. I think they panicked, and they were like, "It'll go away if we get rid of him." No. Don't work like that.
Well,
it doesn't make any other sense unless he's Jewish and he's very, very dedicated to that sort of. And I mean that like not sarcastically. I mean that as like he's very, very ideologically dedicated to the religion or like sort of Zionism. But I just don't see him as that kind of ideologue. I don't see him as a person that would hold an ideology. He doesn't have the attention span or like he doesn't have like the convictions.
You're talking about Trump, so I would say ego is the main thing and money, materialistic items.
He has so much money now. Does he need another $250 from Miriam? That's another thing. So there has to be something else.
There's a saying
what about that she'll funnel money to certain members of Congress or withhold
That's
it?
True.
That will affect the control of Congress. Could that be?
She'll do that anyway, though, because she's with AIPAC. She doesn't need Trump to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say there's this saying where a greedy man's always poor, so it's never enough to some of these people.
That's true.
And I kind of take the weird route where I don't think that presidents should have term limits.
I don't either.
Or how about
I thought I was going to be like the black sheep.
How about anybody?
Yes.
Or how about anybody?
No. Congress people, yes.
Why?
Why? For me? Because I think when you have a good, decent leader, almost like when you had FDR, the people have a right to reelect them. And
no, my question is, why not also for Congress? Why do you want term limits for Congress, but not the president?
Congress is too corrupt.
I mean, look at how much money these congressmen make.
I want to abolish the Senate entirely. Like, what are you talking? Like, forget it. Term limits. I want to get rid of the whole thing.
The reason I'm not thrilled about term limits for Congress is it's sort of schizophrenic to say, well, this is for the good of the people. You know, we need to have fresh representation and so forth. Well, maybe the people should just exercise greater discernment and not keep voting for the same schmucks. And so I kind of think, well, and what if maybe somebody who's been in Congress for a long time actually deserves to be reelected? Why take away that option? So I don't know. Nothing's easy, but I just sort of prefer the idea of the electorate exercising greater discernment as the potential solution.
Well, that is a tough call because everything has to do with leadership, and the population is very far removed from leadership, except the presidency. The president is the one person that, in a certain sense, is the relationship of the individual to the whole nation is through the president. So I also agree with this idea that presidents should be around longer. Plus, you think about what it takes to transform a country. Think about what Russia was in the 1990s and how long it took to be what it is today. You needed somebody in there 30 years.
Right. They're perceived as a lame duck way too soon.
Mm-hmm.
By the first year of their second term, it's over.
Because they have to start. Yeah, the first term, they're already halfway through. They're starting to campaign again. So they're not making policy. That's your permanent bureaucracy. Your Elliot Abrams or whomever else are in there making policy. That machinery, which hasn't been cleaned out clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, if we put a Thomas Massie, a term limit on Thomas Massie, that would be, I mean, he's like the only person that's saying what the majority of the population wants to hear right now.
Yeah. On the other hand, he has never gotten a piece of legislation through.
Well, he could just, run again. He could just run again with a disguise.
Oh my God! What did you do? What did you do to the nose of that thing? Were you hanging out with Zelensky? Like
too much blow.
You hanging out with Jesse Waters and JD Vance?
It's worth a shot.
Americans love cocaine.
What about Massie? Why doesn't he just run for president? If he is good, I don't think he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad. I do like a lot of things he says. Mm-hmm. But he's also a contrarian. So the question is, why doesn't he just run for president then?
Maybe he will.
I think he'll stay representing Kentucky, but that's what I just think, because
I do think they should have no connection to any business when they're in office whatsoever. They should somehow have to divest or something.
As long as you mentioned it, aside from Miriam Adelson's alleged fantasy of getting a third term for Trump, who do we see as the likely candidates for president and
JD
the
Vance.
likely winner?
JD Vance. Yeah. Erica Kirk told us so.
Yeah.
The Oracle of Delphi.
He's the likely Republican candidate. Is he also the likely winner?
Excuse me a second.
And who's the
you said who? Eric. Excuse me.
Oh,
excuse me.
Tammy Faye Kirk here, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me. I don't have the hair. I don't have the hair.
Who do we see as likely on the Democrat side?
Gavin Newsom.
Really? I think he's kind of lost his, I would say.
He did such a great job of running California.
I really don't care who runs. We're not going to vote our way out of this regardless. So let him run Erica Kirk's tissue. Probably get more life out of it than JD Vance.
That's true, yeah. But I don't see the public rallying behind like this, because I think this whole MAGA train is dying. Like what it was birthed into, which is like had some good things. It's completely, it's devolved into something I don't even recognize it. Now we have Lindsey Graham is the poster child of MAGA.
Well, do you think
he's not. I mean, there are a lot of people that are in my neighborhood that are MAGA people, and they're like disgusted with Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. Well, do you think J.D. Vance will embody sort of the best of MAGA, or is he just going to morph into something completely
He's a bag
different?
of mashed potatoes. J.D. Vance can be whatever you want him to be. That's the point of J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was grown in a petri dish by Peter Thiel and the rest of the homo cons, whatever they do, and J.D. Vance's crazy wife. J.D. Vance was made into this. This is his third name change. Like, this person was created. He can be molded into whatever they need him to be. That's the point of J.D. Vance. He has no convictions. He has no ideology. He has no opinions. Nothing. He's just a bag of mashed potatoes. Very dull, tasteless, very white, very boring.
Baby mud.
Well, do you have any thoughts about what he'll be molded into, or?
Well, it's Peter Thiel and them, so I'm guessing like he'll be like this based tech guy who's like, tech is so cool. Like it'll be like that kind of thing. You know, they made him convert to Catholicism. He was an atheist when he met his wife. They convert to what guy marries a Hindu lady and then converts to Catholicism? So they make him do all of these things to sort of appeal to different masses. They can mold him into whatever they want. They would need him to be. Yeah. Plus, he'll get the Indian vote. Indians love JD Vance.
They do.
Yes.
That's interesting. I mean, look, the point is we're at a constitutional crisis in reality. It's like but nobody even knows. Nobody is even acting on it in the population. You know, there's no Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the American population.
Or yeah, I mean,
they're not going to allow for another Martin Luther King ever to.
I just mean there's no genuine leadership organic leadership in the American population right now.
Apparently, you've forgotten about the Reverend Al Sharpton.
He's dead, isn't he?
No, he's not dead.
Al Sharpton? No, he
that
lost
was
weight.
That was a joke, but he's not dead.
No.
He's the really skinny one that's on like MSNBC or CNN.
Yeah, he used to be really fat too.
Yeah, well, Sarah's not too far off. He does look like
he looks like he's on his last leg.
Yeah.
I liked him better when he was fat and he ran around in a tracksuit.
Well,
anyway. Oh, Scott Ritter, Casper. Yeah,
I mean,
well,
there's no leader that everyone has been rallying behind because this country, the media has pushed division so much on us where like even like the Venezuela issue. Now you got people, this fracture of people who that you thought were like, okay, you're very principled on all these things. And then they get Venezuela comes in and then now they show their cards. And then that's that little fracture of, you know, which was once a base. And I think that's all by design. You know, same thing happened with Syria when Assad fell. You had that fracture again, where you had people kind of like thought was in your corner that could see kind of, you know, all the things unfolding. And then as the fall of Assad happens, and then they take the, you know, the oligarchs and the Western side on it. And I just think it's part of the, you know, it's a playbook. And that's probably why you don't have someone that you can rally behind is because.
Well, it's such a hostile environment and they have a trouble getting anything done. And now it's becoming more dangerous too. So it's like, well, why should we even expect very good people to run? It doesn't seem like a very appealing job, actually, unless you're power hungry. But, you know,
like a person like MLK, he didn't run for office, you know,
to
be the leader of, you know, some kind of movement.
I think the only person that actually draws people is not in the United States. I think it's Putin. Largely, that's what everybody around the world, it's like when Lavrov walks into the room, people, it's like they go nuts. You don't have
What about Colonel McGregor? I don't think he has too many downsides. People love military guys.
He's not, like you're talking about leading a movement. Like you need somebody that's incredibly like charismatic and enthusiastic, not McGregor.
Yeah.
Look, he's not even allowed into the administration. He's already said enough that is against what the policies are of the administration. He's not going to get anywhere.
Well, I was just fantasizing.
Well, Sarah, what do you think is next? Where do you think we're going?
In general?
You said, well, first of all, yeah.
I hope. I mean, we're just going to continue on with Abraham Accords expansion, Isaac Accords expansion. I think they'll further alienate Europe. Europe has got themselves in a really bad situation. Danish laws dictate that Danish soldiers have to shoot if Americans land on Greenland. This could be an incredibly bad situation. Even if Trump buys Greenland, I think that really shows a huge fracture inside of NATO and a huge weakness. And
you have Canada a lot orienting towards the EU and Ukraine, i.e., you know, to be a part of that whole thing too. So we're actually putting ourselves into a position of just the enemy of everybody. But I mean, not that the EU is anything good. It's a piece of.
Well, we ruined them, right? We overthrew Gaddafi, flooded the place with sub-Saharan immigrants. We caused the Syrian civil war, flooded Germany with Syrian refugees and Turkey. Now we say you're losing your entire civilization. Look at you.
This is globalization.
You should be ashamed of yourself. We're done with you. Look at what you did. You liberalized and you're gross now. We're done. We're going to South America. Bye. That's how it feels. But really what they're really saying is the Israelis are done with you. The elites, the oligarchic class is done with you. We've strip mined you we've brain drained you. We've taken all of your intelligence. We've taken all of your energy. We've de-armed you by sending it all to Ukraine. And now we're leaving you. Thank you so much. So long. And thanks for all the fish. Like that's what it looks like to me.
No, I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, but Europe hasn't even made a decision though what they're going to do.
They can't. What can they do? They're left. They have no sovereignty anymore. They can't decide where they get their energy. If you can't decide where you get your energy, you have no sovereignty whatsoever.
That's true.
So
no,
the United States took away their sovereignty. So their only option is to either try to make nice with China or Russia or to take it while Donald Trump takes Greenland. And to say thank you. Thank you for taking it. We're totally fine. We're totally fine. Everything's good. This is good.
No, this is my point, though. The only option they have is actually to change their relationship with Russia and China. That's it.
But I think that's, I was going to say that in America, you have this palpable Russophobia. I think you have that also in Europe, especially with like the leading class.
I think it's worse even.
In Europe, yeah.
It's worse.
So I think you'd have to combat with that. That's just how I feel.
They're not going to anyway. Their pride will prevent them. They're not going to cozy back up to Russia, not in the next couple decades.
I don't know.
Maybe Eastern Europe, maybe France, maybe Spain, but other than that, no.
I mean, things get so bad. And I don't see them making any kind of turn for anything better right now. Anything is kind of possible.
But Sarah, look, here's the thing. BRICS is not strong enough to represent a counterpole at this point economically. It's not a military alliance. We know that. But economically, it doesn't represent enough of a counterpole yet to the whole IMF World Bank system, which is only benefiting the same financial interest we've been talking about. Do you agree?
Do nothing and win. Just watch the EU collapse on itself then. That's what I would do.
Do nothing and win.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you can't have an empire. This is the end of the American empire. Once you lose your moral grounding and you don't abide by international law, your empire is going to collapse in on itself. And the fact that we don't have any cultural core to fall back in on, it's going to get incredibly ugly. And anybody who's studied politics, which both Xi and Putin have extensively, knows that this is the beginning of the end. So all they have to do is watch. Which people will complain, why aren't they doing anything at all? Well, it could be that. The United States is destroying itself at the behest of its elite class.
Yeah. But we hold the most nukes. That's what I kind of worry about, is that we might have...
Russia has more nukes than us.
Oh, really? For some reason, I thought we had more, the most.
They do. They have the most. Russia.
And theirs are in better repairs, too.
What about this new empire? Yeah. This is the new empire, the Don Rowe.
Oh, is that Trump? Is that supposed to be Trump?
Yeah.
I see it. Oh, I look at how like Florida's like his lips. That's so funny.
Yeah. Of course, that's our Florida. Friend. Our friend Nemo created that.
I love it.
Maybe there's a new empire coming. Controlling the Western Hemisphere.
The lips are so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah. Those are like duck lips, aren't they?
Yeah. The cap's not bad either.
It's so funny.
But the cap's, I guess, sort of obvious. The lips are, you're right. The piece de resistance. Good work, Nemo.
Well, and Venezuela is not going to represent some significant oil production, by the way, going back to that, anytime soon.
Sorry about that.
But it's also about the rare earth minerals as well. Like there's this, which I think we've already lost it, but this silent war with China, in securing access to rare. I'm sorry.
They won. That's what I was going to say. China won.
They have. I think it's 60% of the rare earth minerals they have in contracts to get it, but they have 90% of the refining capability. You've won. Even if we started tomorrow, we would probably have to import, machinery from China to refine, the rare earth minerals. So, but I think that is also a game with this Don Rowe doctrine. It's not really about the oil. It's about rare earth minerals, trying to combat, China's acceleration with procuring that.
It is a flailing to create this Fortress America. I do think we got to keep going back to the new doctrine, the new security strategy that came out in November.
The new security strategy seemed like a bunch of cope, because it was like, we're getting our asses kicked outside of this hemisphere, so we're going to focus back on the Western hemisphere because we can project power really easily here.
I do think that's it, because up until this point, though, it was NAFTA or some form of benign neglect in our hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's interesting. Lukashenko went on American television and was like, you guys have slept for 20 years and China has passed you by and you will never catch up again. And then shortly after that, all of this came out. I'm not saying he influenced it. I just thought it was interesting. Now this is like, it's like cope. It's very much like, we better catch up. And it's like, you're not gonna, it's too late. But what, China can build 300 ships for every one we build.
That's right.
What are we doing?
And we're going to have South Korea building ships in Philadelphia. They're going to build like 50 or 20 ships every something years. It's like every 5 to 10 years, 20 ships.
This is so
which is, like you said, it's way behind. People have no concept of that physical development potential that we don't have.
Don't despair, because there's still at least two things to be happy about. One is the price of great wine is still affordable. And the other is our audio problems have been solved.
They told you they would fix themselves.
Hey. Oh, well, and Trump got us out of 66 international organizations.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of good, though. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. There's a good thing. There's something.
See, things are looking up. So if people want to see you, see your work, Sarah, we've been flashing your X handle all night long. Is there any other place?
Just go to ddgeopolitics.com or YouTube, ddgeopolitics, all one word. We'll stream again on Sunday, and then Monday we have Scott Horan. So.
Okay.
Oh.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with Sarah, let's say that a little slower.
Geopolitics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you typing it right now, Ryan? I can tell by the way you're leaning.
No. I was looking.
Oh, you're doing something else.
Had it. No, I was looking if we had it. I think we.
Oh. I will be watching, Sarah. I'm always a big fan of your show.
Got to have Morgan on. We need to do more. I actually want to do an all women's podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you misandrist you.
Well, every time I have girls on the show, I get so many super chats. So I'm like, well, I want to get rid of the guy and just have the girl on the show. I have Maze on the show. I made like $200. I was like, you're coming back on.
Wow. What about somebody who's very muscular yet strangely effeminate? I think Ryan might be.
I was going to say you're not very muscular.
Who, Ryan?
No, you.
Oh no, I'm not. No, I wasn't. I wasn't pushing myself. I don't want you to lose your super chats.
Look, I like strong women. That's okay.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you guys, and I will see you all soon. Jen and Ryan are big girls. They're great. Thank you guys. It was so much fun.
That was
all right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. See.
All right.
Wow.
So we're not too depressed. We kind of bummed out.
We left it on a high note.
Yeah. I think you don't sound like you believe it, though.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, everything's so depressing lately, honestly.
Yeah.
But it'll get better. You just got to keep the hope and do something about it. So I will be in New York. I'm not sure if people on the show know about Diane Sayre. She's running for president now. So I'll be there. Her formal announcement. I think Colonel McGregor.
Is he going to be?
Hold it. Why didn't you mention that when we were kicking around presidential candidates?
That is so messed up. I just didn't think about it. But she would be the idealistic person to actually run the country, but she would never get it because this country it just wouldn't. The media would never allow it. Yeah. But she's the one who probably should be running the country. Well,
she has to act like it's doable.
Oh well, I mean, let me say it is doable. It's
going to be a lot of work.
It's a long shot, given what
I've worked in presidential campaigns before, like 4 times, and they are extraordinarily difficult.
I miss Sarah, but one good thing about her signing off is we now have space for the comments.
There we go.
Well, great. Guess what? Here's the funny thing. If you don't have Sarah, you don't have comments.
We're still
I don't know. I'm going to watch the recording back. That looks pretty small.
It's okay. I can see it. I can see it.
When Jeff was
It is a little
showing
small,
up
but
yeah.
I don't know.
You
Maybe it's
know
different
what?
on the phone.
What's that?
Maybe it's different, like on your phone.
Oh no, I can make them bigger. See, I can do that.
There you
I
go.
can do that. Make them bigger.
Okay, that's the font or size that I've seen.
How about
That's
that?
too big.
Wow, Jeff. What did I do? Medium. We like medium?
Yes, medium.
All right.
So anyway,
But then
Sarah said she enjoys it when you give her a hard time. You give everybody a hard time, Jeff. It's just you.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
When did she say that? Now, when she signed off?
It's, to me.
Oh. She enjoys it
She
when I
said
give
she
you a hard
liked
time.
it, and her. You gave her a hard time. That's good. It's good. We have to fight for ideas. The point is,
I do enjoy teasing people. I don't recall doing that to her, which maybe she was referring to me setting her straight. You kind of annoyed me, though, to be honest, tonight. It's like I gave you the info already, and you're like still pointing to stuff on the internet that has nothing.
from the .gov websites, man. It's very clear there.
It's just saying what their mission is. It's not.
So I didn't go to the mission statement page.
Well, all right, here I'll simplify it for you. If that's true, why is Janine Younez the only one who's saying that? There's plenty of people who are criticizing the Bush administration. Why isn't it all over the internet that ICE doesn't even have authority? And not only that, Janine admitted I was right after I confronted her on it. So where is everybody? You know, why aren't all the anti-Trump experts saying that ICE doesn't even have that authority? I'll tell you why, because they do have that authority.
Oh, look at.
What?
Somerville John said you're right.
Marry me, John. Marry me.
Oh my goodness. But
he's in South Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. I'll meet you at the Mason-Dixon line. Where's the Mason-Dixon line? I don't even know where it is.
All right.
I'm against ICE. You know, we already have Border Patrol, different agencies that are supposed to be, you know, enforcing, you know, the border. And they haven't really done the best job, but ICE is an agency that was brought out of the Patriot Act. And the Patriot Act has done nothing but defile American rights and the Constitution. And I find that to be an illegitimate agency birthed out of an illegitimate law or act.
Well, you don't have any disagreement with me on the Patriot Act. Anything with the Patriot Act should be followed.
What's the solution? I mean, assuming that you agree that immigration laws need to be enforced, abolish ICE, and then what?
Well, you have agencies that were already in place that had their jurisdiction, had how far they could go, and now we have ICE, who now we're saying that they could detain anybody, and then now we're saying the Supreme Court says they basically can detain or bring back racial profiling in the sense where you're asking somebody if they have an accent or look like they could not be from here. This is dangerous.
All right, I'm trying to get you to focus more on the solution than the problem.
Okay, all right.
Does the Border Patrol have enough agents?
Well, Border Patrol needs to properly be enforced. I mean, the National Guard, that's also an option for the border, I would say, not necessarily deploying them to actual cities. But ICE is not even doing what the Trump administration claims them to be doing. This mass exodus, this mass immigration.
I can't get you off the problem. I'm trying to get you on the solution. How do you want the
well, somebody else said, hold on, let me help. Somebody else said, like what Morgan said earlier, abolish it and expand Border Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's probably a more articulate way of what I was kind of saying, because I don't find.
Well, you did say it. You already said get rid of it once, but then Jeff said, "Well, then what?" And the issue would be you expand Border Patrol, those services.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not going to be an improvement, but I'm not seeing why we should be confident that they will do a better job. Can you help me out there?
Well, I say when you have what's going on with ICE right now, where you have this recruitment influx that was basically based on the monetary gain that they can get with $50,000 up front. That's dangerous. You're not going to get quality people, especially when we don't know the recruiting, how they're recruiting people. What it makes me think of is the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, how they recruited people. This Johnny Moore character recruited people who were out of the infidels motorcycle brigade. So those people had hatred for Muslims, and they're sent to Gaza to give them aid. I fear that you have that same kind of maybe deep root hatred that's going on with recruiting in ICE. I don't have any evidence of that, but that there's room for that. I guess I should say there's room for that, given the haphazard of just.
We could assess the FBI in a similar way. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know about a lot, but some people think the FBI should be abolished. And, there's that old saying, do you throw the baby out with the bathwater? And I don't really know what the answer to that is. Should the FBI be abolished, or can that institution be revamped in a positive way?
Maybe revamped, but I mean, why
not abolish it and start all over again?
I don't know. I'm saying maybe, but I don't know how to make that decision. Do you?
I mean, we've had mass shootings. I mean, there's so many attacks that we've had. I would like to see what they stop. I mean, what was in recent, I think the New York Post, out of all places, reported on it, that North Carolina, there was this New Year's Eve terror attack that was stopped by the FBI in Charlotte. And it's a very strange case if you guys go look into it, because it was saying that he was encouraged by ISIS to do it, but his target was a grocery store on New Year's Eve. And he had already had a past of violent acts. Like he had a knife that he was carrying around in the neighborhood when he was younger. And kind of, he's had this loop. It just seems like a very clear case of mental instability, as opposed to ISIS coming to our shores.
Are you guys at all optimistic about, or at least interested in, Dan Bongino's return to podcasting? Do you think we'll get some insight about what's going on with the FBI, or no?
Not necessarily. I don't really have lots of opinion on that. I mean, there's going to be things that he cannot say. By the way, FBI, like CIA, is part of the executive branch. So the executive could dissolve it. Congress, I think Congress created it.
Didn't Kash Patel even say he was going to do that? Like, yeah, he said day one.
That was supposed to be the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you go in there and you see how deep statey it is already. Like, like CIA.
I agree with Mystery Man X. ISIS is definitely shady.
But
by the way, let me interrupt a second. So this is what you were talking about, Jeff, Glenn Greenwald, and Janine. It's Janine, right?
Yeah, Janine Younes.
Janine Younes. I just have said it wrong before. So he was defending her, and then you said she's a wonderful person, but she might be wrong. And then you read off the code here. U.S. code, blah, 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 authorizes ICE agents to arrest anyone for any offense if committed in the officer's presence. That's the one you used tonight.
Right. And then the next one is she admitted I was right.
Hold on. She said, I should have said a felony permits ICE officials to intervene. There's no indication that the person committed a felony when they tried to stop her. She said she's
inching closer to getting it right.
But then she said a traffic offense isn't an offense against the United States. It's not a federal crime.
Right. But she's moving the goalposts. Now she's, arguing about what
all I'm saying is it does have to develop, right? Before we actually know. That's
by the way, I'm not so sure she's right that it has to be a felony. But then I pointed out that Andy McCarthy described what is a felony. When you intimidate federal agents, that's a felony. You don't have to actually hit them with a car or do anything. It's, you may not like it. You may want it to be a more of a threshold that has to be met. And he, by the way, prosecuted a similar, or no, I'm not sure if he prosecuted. He was a prosecutor, but he cited a case where somebody got convicted for just like raising their fists. They didn't actually strike anybody. It's the threat, the intimidation, the potential for it. So, and that's a federal offense because they're federal agents. I'm not saying that
that's
it's
fine.
good.
No,
or,
I hear.
yeah,
I hear what you're
But I
saying.
think in the sense that, okay, this woman, you have to look at, we have to get down to like the actual case of what's she looking at. Is she making direct eye contact with the man that's in front of her? Because the man, I remind you, walks in front of her car. I think there's some other footage where it looks like he had kind of walked behind the car and does the circle and gets to where the other ICE agents are actively trying to force her out of the car, which, I mean, the ICE agents have not stated, okay, you're being detained, have not stated what.
Yes,
what,
they did. They didn't say
they said,
those
get
words.
out of the car. They said, all right, get out of the car. Get out of the car. That's what they said.
That's true.
So
Well, here. I've got the video right here. Let's take a look. This is in slow motion.
That was 3
Get out of the
times.
fucking car. Get out of the fucking car.
And that's her yelling no, right?
No, I think it's a bystander yelling.
Oh, that's the bystander.
It's bystander.
The first shot is in front. The next 2 shots are on the side. Now you say he's in front, but I mean, it was a chaotic situation. He was sort of like in the corner of the car. Not
What I
really
say
like,
is that normally you cannot use lethal action when you put yourself in a situation that's going to cause harm. So if you are watching a car that is already ignited, that you have 2 of your other officers, if you're a trained person, that they're there.
Hold on, stop right there. See, her wheel is turning. She's not actually targeting the guy, and her car is slipping, and they're slipping. You can see everything there is. It's chaos. That's the problem.
right. But Andy McCarthy, who knows what he's talking about, he said that it does look to him like she was not trying to hit him. But that doesn't matter because he's saying because she also didn't prioritize keeping them safe. She was more interested in escaping than she was in making sure that she didn't injure anybody. And that's where the violation is. Or at least that's what should be argued. I mean, that's what the issue is. That's the heart of the matter.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
What do you think? You're mulling it over. I appreciate that.
These incidents will keep occurring because these officers, ICE agents, are not trained adequately. Some of them are not trained. I would say you probably have a good portion of them maybe that are other, former, maybe they're veterans or they're or former cops, maybe that. But you also have in a mix these like LARPers that just want to be in the action, and they get this free chance to act like SWAT. It's going to keep occurring, and that's what I find is you hold your government accountable. How far are you going to let them, take a life of a citizen? The scrutiny should always be on the state.
Greg, you don't want to call us? That's my partner from our Tuesday night podcast.
Yeah, he corrected me earlier to I should be using the Donroe.
Greg is a former cop and a former FBI agent, so he knows a little bit about whether it was proper procedure. I think we should call it a night very soon, but if you want to call Greg, I think I gave you the number. I think it would be useful to address that part of it, because they are separate issues, although they're overlapping, but whether or not it was lawful is not quite the same thing as, whether or not they handled it in the best way and what the best way would have been. No problem, Greg, if you don't feel like it, but we'd love to hear from you if you're up for it.
Hurry up. Put down the
He
hamburger.
told me, I don't know what he told you, but I think he was telling me that they should have been further away from the car or something like that. But as far as like getting in front of the car goes, it doesn't seem to, I'm not sure even how significant that is, but it doesn't look to me like he was exactly like right in front of the car. It looked like he was right on the corner of the front, like where the front and the side sort of meet. And it was, here he is, he's calling. So, but it takes a minute for the call to come through. Let's get a little expert analysis here.
Are we going to have the echo issue again?
No, we shouldn't have the echo issue. Actually, I have to.
I don't think it was the phone.
Call. I want to.
By the way, did Did you guys uncheck or check echo cancellation after I mentioned it?
Yeah.
So Jeff, the
So
thing
maybe
is
that was it.
they were all like turned on. That's the problem.
I think that was it. Hey,
I was
Greg,
talking-
you there?
I am.
All right. This is Greg Dillon,
Greg.
former FBI agent, former Branford, Connecticut police officer. All right. So are you watching on your monitor too, Greg, or just talking to us on the phone?
I'm watching the screen and I'm talking to you on the phone.
All right. So we'll play it again with the sound down. What did they do right? What did they do wrong as far as how they handled the situation?
Well, I don't like to say right and wrong because it is difficult to Monday morning quarterback. My initial reaction watching it was, what is the outcome you want initially? You don't want her driving away. So I feel that once they made a decision in that car that they were going to take action, they should have blocked her in using their vehicle so that she could not leave, and then approach the vehicle, tactically sound, by not walking behind the back of the car or walking in front of the car. That, I think, is the single biggest problem from the law enforcement standpoint.
But should they have known there was a need to do that? I mean, isn't it kind of normal to just start off by saying, hey, move or whatever?
Well, I mean, their purpose, it appeared, was they wanted to stop her vehicle and
well, she was stopped already. They wanted her to stop blocking them, and then they wanted her to get out.
Right.
But
right. So first things first, don't allow her to drive off. So you position your vehicle so that she cannot leave.
Right.
And then, because, obviously this is someone who is looking to defy authorities, to not obey the law because she's made it a mission that day to impede and obstruct. So, she's not probably going to be compliant or cooperative. So remove that element, put your vehicle in such a position that she cannot leave.
Yeah.
And
we're looking at
then
it now. That would have been actually very easy to do. I mean, they could have just chosen to do that. No problem.
Greg, there's a longer video of this particular angle where another ICE agent's car drives past, and then you have this one pull up and try and.
Yeah, are you sure that's an ICE agent? She let him go by waving, and somebody said it was a civilian vehicle.
I'm pretty sure it was part of the convoy, but I could be mistaken. But my point kind of is that there was room to go, is kind of what I'm saying, is there was room to get past. And when if she started acting kind of more erratic and tried to block you off, that's when you actually engage. So it seemed like it was pretty avoidable. Like it was a nuisance if she was really trying to kind of, cause them to move around her. But was that really something that needed to escalate to that manner? Like, if there was,
because she made it apparently her mission that day to obstruct and impede and barricade. So they decided enough was enough. They're going to take action. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe the car that she waved through was not ICE involved. It had no emergency lights on it whatsoever. And then they were the second car, and that's when I think, it would have been better for them to just pull in front of her vehicle and conduct an investigation to see who she was and why she insisted on putting herself in between, their operation and, how long was it going to go on, and how often did she think she was going to be able to do it before there were some consequences. Obstructing and interfering with a federal investigation is a federal crime. They're federal officers, and they do have the right to investigate and make an arrest if necessary.
Thank you. Were you listening earlier when Ryan and our guest
federal
were disputing that?
I think
no, I don't. I think I came in at the tail end. I think you were just.
I just thought of one other reason why it's so obviously ridiculous to say they don't have that authority, and that is citizen arrests. A citizen can make an arrest. So to say that ICE doesn't have that authority is to say that that federal law enforcement agencies, that being ICE, have less authority than an ordinary citizen, which is just obvious.
Of course. But the thing is, if you're a federal agent, no one has the authority to be able to interfere or obstruct with one of your investigations or your arrest. And she clearly is obstructing and interfering with their duties. She doesn't have the authority to do it. She's not the self-appointed, police out there. So she can't decide who she's going to cut off and who she's going to block and who she's going to obstruct. So
do you think the shooting was lawful or unlawful, Greg?
The shooting itself?
Yeah.
I think technically it's going to be lawful. Yeah. I'm not.
Do you think it's a close call? Do you think it's a close call or a slam dunk?
Well, I think it's a close call, but I'm shading toward the side of the law enforcement officer. I mean, she's not absolved of responsibility because she gets killed. The actions that she decided upon, were to engage in this conduct throughout the course of the day, and then knowing that those are federal officers or police officers of some sort. I mean, they're wearing uniforms. They have blue and red lights on their vehicle. The only reason she's there is because she's trying to impede a law enforcement operation. And so when they're yelling at her to get out, and when they're approaching her, I don't know where she thinks she has the legal right to back up and then put it in drive and go forward. I mean, so the officer put himself to a degree in a bad situation, but that in and of itself does not change the policy of the use of force to save your life or the life of someone else. And
see, some of these people will just, no matter what you tell them, they'll just keep clinging to the same point over and over again. They won't even respond.
Well, they don't like what the outcome is going to be, which is going to be he's going to be. Now, I'm not saying civilly he's going to be cleared, but criminally.
Yeah, I'm referring to one of the comments.
Well, again, we don't know. We don't know where she's looking. If this, because if this erratic behavior of her pulling off was had her attention on the other ICE officers, and she's not acknowledging this one person, and he's in the position to see what she acknowledges, then I think that you would have a credible case that no, he might have not been in the right to pull out his weapon when there was time to jump out of the way of the car.
Do you think she had time to put the car in park and sit there?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's as Andy McCarthy said, and I hate to keep mentioning it, but he's either right or he's wrong. If he's right, he's right. And he's saying that, sure, it looks like she wasn't trying to hit him, but she also wasn't trying not to hit anybody. She did not prioritize being safe. She prioritized getting away.
And he has no way of knowing this at that moment.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, another thing.
I'm not
sure how relevant it is legally, but at least conversationally, I think it's worth pointing out that the officer who shot her was dragged by somebody in a similar situation, dragged by a car 300 feet a few months ago when at a stop. Yeah. He was reaching into the car trying to apprehend somebody. The car took off and dragged him 300 feet. So maybe it's not, I don't know if it's significant legally, but I could see where somebody might be a little edgy.
Well, then if they're edgy, they don't need to be on the payroll or on duty, I think.
Oh, come on. Have a little heart for like what it means to be a law enforcement officer.
Of course I do, but I'm saying
you just say he shouldn't be on the payroll because he's edgy?
If you're going to make that case that you had PTSD from a prior incident, then no, you should not have been on
well, no, it doesn't excuse him to do any old thing, But
is that kind of the case that you were making, that because of this past instance that this could have, rose up because that past instance?
Yeah, I wouldn't get bogged down in that fact, but I am more curious as to why you think that they're undertrained. Like, what information do you have that they are?
They're getting a $50,000 bonus, and there is reports that some of them. So what? Because that leaves room for you to hire people. Well, actually, it shows that you're hiring, or you have this need to hire an influx of people And so you're throwing everything at the kitchen sink. Okay, we'll give you $50,000. Are you hiring the best? Are you going through extensive training?
Well, I mean,
how long are these people getting trained before they're put on the on the streets? It doesn't seem like that long. If this just started this year, they're getting a $50 influx of bonus, and you have this.
Well, let me just say one thing. Because, and I didn't know this before the show, too long before the show. Greg, you can answer on this. I have a friend who is former U.S. military, former police officer. He's one of my neighbors, and he is contracted now to ICE. He is very well trained in explosives. He has his own shooting school. We shoot regularly. So I don't know if it's automatically the case that they're not trained.
I mean, maybe they're not, but I think, Morgan, what you're talking about is, I think it's legitimate to question whether or not dangling that financial incentive is appropriate. That's fair to ask, but that doesn't in and of itself establish that they're not properly trained. Now, here's somebody saying that the usual training period is 5.
Look at the videos that are coming out. These people are, I wouldn't say they're
look at the comment.
trained.
Morgan, look at the comment that's on now. I'm not opposed to your theory. You might be right, but this, if it's true, I think is better evidence. Greg, do you see that? You know, if that's true, that the normal training period is 5 to 6 months, but it's been 40 days for some of these people? Do you know if that's true or not?
My understanding is it's 40 days if they are coming out of a federal law enforcement background already. So it's like a refresher, basically.
Oh, okay. But not if it's like.
But the thing is, I don't understand why someone would be offended if they're offering to pay more money. Like, do you want people that are going to do this job for $12 an hour? Is that the quality of people that you want showing up to work?
That's what majority of people.
Do you want security guards, or do you want security guards, or do you want FBI quality people? What are you looking for? Because if you're looking for the security guard, then yeah, don't pay good money, have lousy benefits, and then you'll get the bottom of the barrel. So
why do you think you get the best of the best when you incentivize like monetary gain right up front?
Because I was considering going back in at first when they offered that money. And I have 30 years of law enforcement experience, and I have 5 years of SWAT experience as an FBI agent. Yeah. And that would have been more attractive to get me out of retirement than to be going back and
the point is you're then better positioned to get people who have options. If people who have options, people who are very well trained have options, so you can't underpay them because they'll take a different option. But Morgan,
if you're trying to hire a CEO of a company, would you offer a 6-figure salary, or would you offer a 5-figure salary?
I think you might have said it already. I'm saying that if you're incentivizing, because they're basically saying we need this high influx of people to come back in. You don't think that leaves room to hire, people who are not doing it for the right reasons. Granted, you probably are very qualified to have that position, but are they recruiting people in that sense? Like I brought prior, this, government aid or this non-NGO venture that we did in Gaza Humanitarian Fund, they were recruiting veterans, but the veterans who are only subscribed to this motorcycle brigade that hate Muslims. So
no, I understand, and I heard you.
And it was, and then it was a forgot the bonus. They were giving absurd amounts of money.
He understood your point. He understood your point. What were you going to say, Greg?
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, you want to draw from be given a applicant pool of 1,000 people to fill 50 positions, and not 60 people to fill 50 positions, because you're going to have a greater chance of getting the best, most qualified candidates, and it gives you the luxury of screening out the people that you don't think are good for the job. So I would say the more the merrier when it comes to the selection process, because you have a greater chance of bringing in ideal candidates instead of marginal candidates.
Morgan, can you just refresh my memory? What exactly is this payment that we're discussing? Is it a bonus for signing?
Yes, what is upfront bonus of $50,000, I believe.
All right. Okay. So Okay. So, all right, I got it. See, that I agree with Greg. I don't see why that's inherently bad. Now, it would be a different story if they were like offering bonuses for making a certain amount of arrests.
Well, they do give them quotas. They do have quotas.
But do they get a financial incentive that if you make X amount of arrests, you'll get
Greg
more
might
money?
know about what is what happens to you if you don't reach the quota, but I know that there are quotas.
You know that.
Yeah, the president has raised the quota.
You know something I know.
I'm sorry?
Morgan says she knows there are quotas. I'm a little dubious about that. What do you think, Greg?
Well, I'd like to see some proof because I'm not aware of any.
I don't think there are. That sounds blatantly unconstitutional because there may not be enough incidents that have probable cause to make the arrest. So I don't see how there could be such a policy. If there is, I would agree with you. It's wrong.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any such policy because there are many different assignments that you can go into. And so if you are on a high level SWAT team where you just do nothing but provide overwatch and security, you will never be eligible to make a quota because your job is not to go out there and make arrests. So there's no way that system is in place because it would be inherently unfair to the people that aren't actively going out and making arrests opposed to the people that are doing inside work, strategic work, command work, planning work, that type of thing. So I don't buy it.
Somerville John says cops have quotas for issuing traffic tickets. But again, I don't think that's legal, and it may be happening in an unlawful way, sort of under the radar, but I don't think that it's actually a stated policy out in the open.
Well, I'm finding on the New York Post, I can't find it on any other news agency, that back in January, there was a quota of 1,800. And as this article was written, the Trump administration rose it up in June to 3,000 per day as a minimum detainments that ICE had to make.
But that
arrests per day.
For what? Not for an agent.
For the whole agency, the agency known
the
as
entire
ICE.
division. I mean, for the region, for the office, you have to have some context for it. There's no way that they're putting a quota for each agent to bring in X amount of people.
Well, 3,000, that would be ridiculous per agent. But it says Trump administration officials push for ICE to make a minimum of 3,000 arrests per day.
Yeah, they're pushing for it. They're pushing for it, but there's not a quota where there's an actual penalty if somebody doesn't do something. Morgan, do you see the difference between pushing for it and there being some kind of requirement that somebody will be punished if they don't make a certain amount of arrests? There's a big difference between those two things.
Well, it says
it's a target number. It's all it is.
I'm sorry. It kind of broke up. What was he saying?
Greg?
Greg, what did you say?
Yeah, no, it's a target number. It's not a quota. It's a target number.
Right. You can use any word you want, but the bottom line is nobody faces punishment if they don't make a certain amount of arrests. That would be illegal.
Well, yeah, I mean, I will say the article doesn't say that there's any sort of repercussion, but the article does use the word quota. So, I mean, I'm can't shoot the messenger when I don't, I'm not a law enforcement agent that knows the nuances that, okay, they're targets. But
all right. So we won't shoot you. We won't shoot you, but
numerous articles. I mean,
we won't shoot you. But now that I explained it, does it make sense that nobody is going to face punishment if they don't make a certain amount of arrests? That would be illegal.
Yes, I understand that. Okay. But isn't that dangerous? Is that not? I mean, is that even 3,000?
Well, what do you think, Greg? I guess it depends on specifically how the pressure is being meted out, what's being said. But you're the cop, Greg.
I mean, let's make a kind of an analogy here. If I had a car dealership and I say, guys, sales team, I think we should be selling 300 cars this month. Last month we only did 200. That's that's a target number, but it's not a quota. I'm not going to say everyone gets fired here if we don't hit 300 car sales this month. I mean, this is what we ought to do. This is what we aspire to do. This is what I would like to see us do. But it's just a number that's a wish number. It's a target goal.
Okay, so I mean, I would back off maybe that or piggyback on that analogy. So what if the car dealership says, okay, we want to sell your baseline is mainly 200 to 300 cars you sell per month. We want to go and sell 2,000. Like, are you not creating an environment for, you know, them to sell really crappy cars or cars that don't work well? Like, because there's this culture to try and meet that quota, even though no, you don't explicitly have okay, your ass is on the line if you don't meet this quota, but you're creating this culture where you need to, if you want to be in the group, if you want to get the promotion, if you want to go and get the extra bonus before Christmas. Do you see what I'm saying? That, yeah, you might not have this explicit, you know, repercussion that you have, but it's a culture.
Legally or illegally.
I'm sorry?
The person's here either legally or illegally. It's not like we're going to round up every person we can find, regardless whether they're citizens here or not, just to make the number.
Well, the other thing, Morgan, is you don't need to focus too much on the way you're framing it, because the better revelation is, well, are there any bad arrests or not? If there are bad arrests, then that's the problem. If there aren't, then who cares?
Well, there are cases. I mean, we can't act like they aren't, you know, making these mistakes.
Well, that's what, I don't know what the numbers are. I'm saying that if there are, there's always going to be allegations that certain arrests are bad, and maybe they're valid, maybe they aren't valid. But that's the thing to look at is there strong evidence that there are a lot of bad arrests? If so, then I would look at, well, they're pressuring them to make this. But the first step is, are there a lot of bad arrests? Because if there aren't, then there's not much need to criticize this policy of pushing them to make arrests.
Well, I would say, okay, I don't have direct numbers, but we've seen the videos. I mean, Jeff and I are from North Carolina. The video of the man that they, you know, apprehended twice, and the second time after he had already approved or shown them proof of citizenship, his car was busted out and he was yanked from his truck. And then he was later released after they then again verified that he was an American citizen. Well, like, is that our best trained people getting the job?
No, probably not. But the video age that we live in is misleading, because obviously the things that get spread around social media are the things that people are complaining about, which doesn't necessarily.
That's not an anomaly. That's not the one video.
Well, but maybe
everybody.
I don't know how you know that. I don't know how you know that. I mean, I'm saying that if you see a certain amount of videos floating around the internet, that doesn't really give us a clear picture of whether it's an unusual amount for the whole country. I've been looking at forget ICE. I've been looking at police videos for years. And a lot of the stuff that I see floating around the internet complaining about the police, it's not even any indication that they did anything wrong.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. You do have videos that are taken out of context, or they're taking after, there was, the other person was kind of riling up the situation a little more, and then the video starts and then you see a whole different picture. That happens all the time. But you do know there are a lot of videos of ICE that are using excessive force when there's not a threat of imminent danger on these people at that exact moment.
Well, I'm open to that, Morgan. I just don't know what a lot means. I mean, it's
more than I'm comfortable with, I would say. I mean, I don't have a direct number but you see it and it's striking. I don't like the cops wearing their mask and concealing their identity. I don't like that. It reminds me of what, IDF is doing in the West Bank. Completely criminal. Do you think that their stated reason for doing it has some validity? No, I don't.
You're conflating two different things. I mean, you're saying they're making bad arrests, which I assume you mean that the people are actually here legally and not illegally.
Well, I would say that I'm sorry, let me let you finish, Greg. I'm sorry.
No, but then you immediately fold it into unreasonable force, and there are two different arguments that you're making. They're not one and the same. If someone gets, well, because if they make a mistake and they have whatever, Jose Gonzalez. In their database, they have 500 Jose Gonzalez's, and they think they have the guy that's here illegally, and it turns out he's here legally. Yes, that's a bad arrest, and they're going to correct it. But now you're trying to make it sound like it's a excessive force arrest, and they're not the same things. A bad arrest is a misidentification.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the excessive force in these bad arrests, I would say. I mean, even how this engagement with this young woman who ultimately is dead now, you would say that that's not a de-escalation force when they're approaching the car, get out of the car, get out of the effing car, get out of the car. No, that goes again. I don't think those are adequately trained officers that are going to roll back a situation as opposed to accelerate a situation to where you have this instance where you have shots being fired or limbs being broken, blood being, shed. I just brought up this one case where this American citizen who was naturalized, I believe from Honduras, who was yanked out of his car, his windshield was broken after he had already shown ICE agents that he was a U.S. citizen. And that's not the only case. Even so, the ones who are here, they do a detainment of an illegal person. They have excessive force. I don't think you should show that much force to these individuals unless you're met with immediate danger or threat to your life. And we're seeing video after video of these ICE agents yanking people out of cars, busting windows, popping limbs. I mean, you showed a video a few weeks ago where it was they tackled a store owner, and he was an old store owner. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, that's a good example. That's a good example. That's a good. Yeah, I think we actually discussed that on Probable Cause. That's the podcast I do with Greg on Tuesday nights. That's a good example of a video that does. Episodes. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I said that was one of our first episodes, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's an example of what I was saying before, where you don't see the whole picture, because from that video, you don't know whether or not the store owner already knew why they were there. And also the store owner just put himself right in front of the agent as he was approaching. But let me say something about this mask issue that you brought up, because I think I have a solution, and I want to see what you, Morgan, think, and what you, Greg, also think. The reason they do it, according to what they claim, and it makes sense to me, is because they've been doxxed and harassed, and they shouldn't have to put up with that crap, which I think is a fair concern. On the other side of the argument, there should be a way to hold them accountable if they do something inappropriate, if they abuse somebody's rights. So can't the solution, I don't know exactly if they do this or not, but are the people wearing masks have some kind of badge or ID where they can at least be identified and be held accountable, or not? And if so, isn't that a reasonable solution that kind of strikes a balance between the two competing considerations?
Like a badge number?
Well, anytime they're going to have to write up an incident report based upon their actions, they'll be identified by name and badge number within the paperwork. So I don't understand why there's an issue having their faces covered if they're going to be identified by their name on the report in the paperwork.
Because is there a way for people like the public immediately, is there
a way for the public to make a complaint? If somebody's on the scene, can they? I guess if they took a picture with their camera, it would be easier to hold them accountable because you don't have to get all that close. But you do have to get pretty close to see a badge number, right?
I imagine. Unless they use the cloth labels that have their name on the outside of their carrier.
Yeah, I mean, but I would say it's almost akin to when people say, okay, more gun laws. When people who are going to commit the crime with a gun are already not respecting the laws. So if harassment and doxing are already crimes, why do they have to go the necessary mile to actually conceal their identity? I mean, I don't. They're already criminal acting.
Doxing is a crime?
It's a crime, right? I'm not mistaken.
I don't think so.
Well, I guess what follows doxing, which is the harassment and, burglar, whatever, breaking and entering, I should say, if that what happens. Those are already crimes. Why do you need another recourse to? I mean, I think if they're going to take the position of law enforcement, you have to own up to showing your identity to the public. I mean, that's just how I feel. Unless you're doing like a SWAT operation, yeah, I get that. If you're going after people who are, doing nefarious criminal activity that,
Yeah, but how do you draw where do you draw the line? I mean,
because they're making traffic stops and pulling people out of cars. I don't think you're really
traffic stops. What are you talking about? Traffic stops.
A lot of the videos that we see coming from these ICE detainments, they're, pulling people out of cars, or there's a vehicle involved. Am I not
Well, if they don't have probable cause, that's the bigger issue than wearing a mask.
But if they're taking someone into custody, there's going to be reports filed on the arrest, and then at that point, all the officers that are at the scene are going to be named in that report. So they're not anonymous. I mean, their name is going to be right in the report numerous times.
So you're perfectly fine with even them doing these actions with their faces covered.
I don't know what the face is being covered. I would like to see them have a badge number visible. So if someone does feel that they've been somehow mistreated, that they can say, well, I remember the badge number or whatever was.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is there's either a way to hold them accountable or there isn't, and there should be.
Right.
And if you can do it with them wearing masks, then there's no problem with the mask, right? There's no problem.
Right.
There's no need to see their face if they can be identified.
I mean, would you rather have a badge number, or would you rather go to the station and say, well, the guy had freckles and I think blue eyes, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I guess
they're going to tell you, okay.
No, you're not saying freckles, but come on, Greg, let's be real here. If there's a photo of them, that's a pretty good way to identify them. You're not just saying they have freckles.
And I also think there's this detachment that
the idea of whether there's a mask or not, if you have a badge number from the person, that's going to be a better sense of identification than saying, I think I would recognize them if I saw them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and they don't have the badge numbers. And we have to remember in the early days, they wore the masks and civilian clothes. And you finally had enough uproar where, okay, now they're wearing the identifiable ICE vests. But, I mean, that's not
well, before this whole ICE thing became a controversy, there's been for years that regular police departments have undercover cops working. And so how are they held accountable if they do something they shouldn't do? I
mean, when I worked fugitives, we were all in plain clothes. But once we made the arrest, there was a report filed with the court, and it listed everyone that was involved in the takedown or the raid or the search or whatever. So there was no secret as to who was involved. Everyone was listed by name.
Yeah, I think this is just about optics, and the people who are complaining about it haven't really described how it's problematic in a real world way.
Well, I mean, I would say that I would say that in these instances, when you have these ICE agents who are concealing their identity, it also hides them from, how do I put this? Like, you're detaching yourself from the situation almost, where you aren't going to face the repercussions of when you have this video going viral of them showing excessive force to an individual who, you pulled out of a car. It kind of detaches you from holding what you would normally do if you had your face out to the public. I feel is if you
but if they aren't arrested and prosecuted, then I'm not sure why they should have their face exposed.
I'm sorry. What could you?
I said if they aren't arrested and prosecuted, I'm not so sure why they should have their faces exposed. If they are arrested and prosecuted, then I think their faces are being exposed then.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I see what you're saying.
Which is, by the way, I was thinking this when the Epstein files came up earlier. I'm not as hyped up on the Epstein files as a lot of other people, because we don't usually start disseminating to the public, the identities and all this information about people who haven't even been charged with any crime, because, it stigmatizes them. I mean, that's the reason. So, unless there's a really good reason to think we can nail somebody on any particular crime regarding Epstein, I'm just not as hyped up on disclosing it all as a lot of other people seem to be.
Yeah, and the other thing to also bear in mind, they're working out in Minnesota where the temperature is like 25 degrees, so it's not completely ridiculous to have some sort of a face covering to avoid frostbite.
That's disingenuous. You know that's not why they're wearing the mask.
That's not the reason. Come on, that's not the reason.
If you had to stand out there for 8 hours and it's 25 degrees, you don't think you want something covering your face?
That's true, but that's not generally the reason. Come on, Greg.
I think
no. But I'm saying you can't ban something and say from this point forward you can never wear a face mask, and it's going to be like,
because you might need to. Because you might need to for that reason. Okay, all right.
Well, how about when we have to deploy gas masks and helmets? What are we supposed to do then? Remove them so everybody can see our face still? I mean, you got to be realistic and reasonable here.
Well, that's realistic and reasonable on what you're facing at that moment. What kind of operations are these ICE agents doing mainly? I see them. I have seen some like SWAT like raids to houses that where the individual they were trying to apprehend wasn't even home, and I see them mainly taking people out of their cars. Does that really require you to conceal your identity, wear a gas mask? I get what you're saying, Greg. If the situation that you're meeting it with requires you to wear a gas mask, if you're suiting up to, there's this riot that busted out of this parade, yeah, I wear the gas mask. It makes sense. But is that really kind of the situation that we're putting these ICE agents in on a continual basis? I don't think so.
You keep talking to like making traffic stops as if that's the only thing they do. I mean, in the course of a day, I think they do a bunch of different things. Isn't that really the reality of it?
Okay, but I get so.
Nobody wants to do a traffic stop if they can avoid it.
Yeah.
Are they busting into these drug dealers and human trafficking's houses of these major, cartel, people that are very dangerous? I don't think so. They haven't really proven that they are. So why are you concealing your identity? That's why I think that would be the legitimate case to conceal your identity. If you are going after very powerful people that benefit from illegal immigration, but they're not.
Well, I already mentioned what their stated reason is. Is it that you don't believe that that's the reason?
They haven't shown any evidence that has happening. Have they? Where it's like actually put an ICE agent in danger that his family was doxxed.
No, that's a fair question, Morgan. I don't really know if they have or not. It's just that it strikes me as reasonable. We certainly have seen that they're getting harassed on the streets.
I've seen posters that have been put up on telephone poles of the faces of ICE agents.
Yeah.
Almost
I have not seen that, but I would not agree with that.
Well, you must have seen all the videos of them being harassed. So if they're being harassed, having their faces out there, obviously that creates more of a greater likelihood that they're going to be harassed.
I will.
Yeah, but I think
you have very hyperbolic people that are going against ICE, but I think it's almost tit for tat. A lot of these instances that I've seen where it's like the ICE agents, they're not really doing. So I will say the Portland, Oregon protest where you had people showing up in these inflatables, and there was this video where the guy's dancing his inflatable and they spray tear gas directly into the air ventilator. That's not a real way to use your equipment in the proper way, and it doesn't show the public.
Why isn't it?
I'm sorry.
But why isn't it?
When someone's protesting on a public sidewalk, your position at this ICE facility in Portland, Oregon, and you and your guys go up to him and spray tear gas into the ventilating thing of his inflatable, you think that that's a good use?
So if they were authorized to use pepper spray, then it doesn't make any difference whether I decide I want to spray you in the face or I'm going to try to get around your costume and spray it somewhere else. Either the use of it is appropriate and authorized, or it's not. If it
doesn't seem appropriate when it's on a public sidewalk, and they may be exceeding
that's a different issue then.
Territory, but the nuisance territory doesn't allow an officer to spray you with pepper spray or tear gas.
Well, then it doesn't make any difference. Then if it shouldn't be used, then it shouldn't be used. Whether the person's in a costume or not is irrelevant.
I guess what I'm saying is how malicious that is to inject it in there when in a where the man is wearing something where he can't really seek relief immediately without taking that thing off. It's just pumping in there.
Well, no, the relief is to move before it comes to the point where he has to be pepper sprayed.
So, okay, these people that were protesting, yes, they were making noises past decent hours, and what appeared to be like, to me, hurting the egos of these people, constantly berating them, holding the mic, and bad mouthing them, but they're not breaking any law if they're on a public sidewalk.
Well, I wasn't there, so all I can say is, if they had the authority in the order to use tear gas or pepper spray, then they had the right to do it. If they didn't have the right to do it, then no matter where they sprayed them, it was going to be inappropriate and wrong.
Okay. I'm just kind of bringing up some of these instances that optically to the public, they are not showing ICE in a favored manner. I guess, some people.
Well, let me ask you a question. Right. For the person in the inflatable, would it make any sense whatsoever to spray the face of the inflatable costume?
No, but do you not find that to be a bit dangerous, though? Is it really like you're
more if the person wasn't wearing a costume and got sprayed in the face, you think that's more dangerous?
No, I understand that's a futile effort. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I'm saying you're then basically spraying it into like a little plastic bag for this person and have that just to inhale, not it be dispersed and have it mixed in, and so you're not getting such a concentrated dose.
Right. So again, backing up, the option is for that person in that inflatable to wander off, so they're not in the position where they are getting pepper spray to begin with.
I guess we would just have to see how was even the direction for them to move away lawful. I don't know, but
that's the bigger question. That's the bigger question. You're right.
But I would say, in the essence of these optics, these videos that come out to the public, which granted, yes, some camera lenses cut on too late, and there are different things to the story, but accumulative. The videos that are coming out, do you think they are showing ICE agents in a favored manner, that they are disciplined agents acting according to the law?
That's a fair question. What do you think, Ray?
Mm-hmm. I have to apologize. I'm getting only some of some of it. I don't know why, if it's my phone or what. But
is it my mic?
No, you sound good to me, but I don't know. We've been having some weird audio problems. Why don't you just ask the question again, Morgan?
I said, with the accumulation of these videos that are taking place, on social media, are they showing ICE agents in the best light and the most disciplined light, that they are, ICE agents that are acting according to the law? And they're not.
No, but the thing is, there's probably thousands and thousands of hours of footage, and they're going to cull from all those thousands of hours of footage the couple of minutes that put them in the worst possible light. So I would just take that into consideration also.
Yeah, I conceded the fact that, yes, you do have cameras that cut on too late, but there's a lot of videos where you have, what I would say, ICE agents who are using excessive force when the imminent threat to their life or others is not present. And that's happening more than, I can say, maybe something happened beforehand on the camera. You have some of these instances where it's like, that was a flagrant, power trip, I would say. And that's not just this one occurrence or one-off thing. It seems to happen there's this long catalog, I would say, to where it doesn't seem like it is always the case that it is just the cameras cut on too late, where we're not seeing the full picture. And that's where I come into it, and I make the assessment with these videos that these ICE agents don't seem well trained. They don't seem well disciplined. And I don't think that, I don't have the expertise like you do, Greg, but if I'm just an American citizen, I would say there's a lot of American citizens who are probably coming off with the same take with these videos.
Yeah, no, I mean, the optics aren't great, but I would just balance it with the fact that they are involved in thousands of these, arrests and detainments and operations every single day. And out of all of those contacts, there are going to be some that don't go well. There are going to be some that shouldn't go the way they go. And those are going to be the ones that end up on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok because that's what people want to see. They don't want to see someone, taken into custody without any drama or any confrontation. That's boring. They want to see the stuff
here
where
was
there's
a perfect arrest. Isn't this exciting?
Right. I mean, nobody's going to, be watching that. They don't have an interest in it. They want to see the foot chase, the car chase, the wrestling on the ground. And sometimes that's going to happen. Now, sometimes it's going to be unreasonable. Sometimes it's going to be reasonable. I'm not going to defend blindly every one of these encounters because that'd be foolish on my part.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, I like the cross-pollination of our different podcasts. So one good thing, besides our audience got the benefit of Greg's expertise tonight, is you got to meet Greg. And I hope that you nice people, if you're not already aware of it, will check out our Tuesday night show, Probable Cause. We do it at 7 p.m. Eastern time, as we do The Whiners, also 7 p.m. And Wednesday nights, Ask the Inspector with Scott Ritter. So I'm sorry if that was too abrupt. I don't want to interrupt you nice people if there's anything more you want to say, but I kind of think like we're
I'm good. I'm thank you for having me on.
All right.
Thank you.
Morgan, you feel complete? Should we call it a night?
Well, yeah. I mean, I still have my stance on ICE, where I find
them.
Well,
do you want to say anything more? Do you want to
Act.
I'm sorry. Do you want to say anything more?
Just that my stance on ICE, which I had said earlier about them being an illegitimate agency based on the legitimate act, Patriot Act. But that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, Greg, thanks for the call. Morgan, thank you. I think Ryan ducked out because he has other work obligations. So thanks to you as well, Ryan, and thanks to our beloved audience. And we'll see you nice people next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Until then, nighty-night.